Talk the Dog, the show where we find a bone to pick and a take to give. These are not hot takes. These is dog takes. Can I talk that dog? What's up? You really like that? Let's shut up and grind some tape.
What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome into the Film Guy Network here on a beautiful Wednesday evening. We've had a loaded week of content, and I got a great one for you planned tonight. A bunch of topics to go through, okay? From in-person evaluations of the number one player in the country in 2025, Elijah Griffin, to maybe, perhaps, possibly the best football player I've ever seen at the age of 14. We're going to talk about him tonight as well. Some schedule news we got for you guys tonight. Some NCAA transfer waiver, changes, a whole bunch of commitments going on. Some indications with the Nebraska football team that maybe the Raiola thing's wrapped up there with the Cornhuskers. But I wanted to start tonight's show with a little bit something different. I obviously do this network, and we do this network a little bit differently. Hell, last night we spent 45, 50 minutes watching film, talking football, breaking it down, and really being nerdy about the game of football. I'm extremely passionate about the game of football. I am inundated, or I should say consumed, with learning more and more about it. So much so that I get told all the time, hey, dude, you should get into coaching. Why aren't you into coaching? What's going on with the coaching? You should be a coach. And trust me, I feel that to my core. All right, I've done a lot of speaking arrangements at this time in my life, doing whether it be awards gala with Born to Compete, speaking in front of 1,400 people. I've done, live television. We do this every single night. I am comfortable doing things that make most people uncomfortable when it comes to talking or speaking in front of people. But I will tell you this, no matter how large, and none of that stuff ever really bothers me, doesn't make me nervous. I don't get the willies or nothing. Just go out and do it. We have fun doing all that stuff in the speaking arrangements. But when something happens, when I get in front of actual football players and they're all looking at me, and I get asked to speak, whether it be a high school football practice, you've seen this, or, whenever it be, wherever it may be, where I get asked to speak to a football group of players, dude, I can't hardly breathe. I'm rattling, to my core, okay? And I think I know what that is. I think I know that that's probably where I'm supposed to be, maybe. Maybe that's what that is. Maybe that's why I feel that, almost like a vibration from my toes into the bottom of my spine, real weird type of stuff. Almost like a nervousness and an excitedness about doing it. And then I think maybe I want to be a coach someday. And then I spend 2 hours on a sideline like today and the last several days talking to these college football coaches, and son, I don't want nothing to do with that. I don't want nothing to do with that. Never, never. I have probably passed on all of that. I don't want anything to do with it. You guys are here to listen to us talk about Georgia football, and we will. I watched your head football coach today, Kirby Smart, on that sideline. And when he wasn't able to talk to, coaches around him, whether it be Bobo or Dale McGee or Trey Scott or Chidera Uzodiriba, whoever it may be, right, that is around him, Buster Faulkner, whatever coach may be around him that he's able to talk to and talk amongst colleagues and cut up and all that good stuff. When he wasn't able to do that, every 90 seconds or so, dude's like this. Dude is just glued to his phone. Every coach I'm talking to, every 5 minutes, yeah, man, how you doing? Yeah. Just handling business, all on the phone, going. Okay? At this time of the year, these guys are working 23-hour shifts, it feels like. All right? I sat next to one coach, guys, that in the 15 minutes I was talking to him, he had 3 different phone calls. One position coach. This isn't a coordinator, no nothing. It's a position coach. Within the 15 minutes I'm talking to him, had 3 different, whether it be players' parents, players' representation, whatever, 3 different people basically calling him, strong-arming him, negotiating him, trying to something towards NIL right now at this time of the year. And this isn't these aren't superstar. Man, these are just Joe Schmoes at normal Power 5 schools that everybody loves. All right, and I just got to think, I don't want to do it. I love the idea of coaching football someday, but I couldn't imagine going through this time of the year with the way these college football coaches have to live right now. It's insane.
Yeah, I mean, it's gotten to the point where it's an occupation where there is no off season, there is no time off, there is no, okay, now I can go spend time with family. I mean, it is full go even during the off season for you. I mean, that might even be the most busy time for you is the off season compared to what the actual season entails, because at least then it's a lot more structured probably. It's a lot more, you know exactly what's going on and what's happening, whereas the off season, I mean, anything and everything is happening.
We must have a ton of people watching the Georgia State high school football playoffs because there ain't a lot of people here right now.
Yeah, I mean, the demand of a college football coach, even in the last 6 or 7 years, has increased exponentially. Like, you go back maybe 10, 15 years ago, yeah, you had to recruit well. Yeah, you had to work on building your team. But now you're recruiting year-round, early signing days pretty much in December. And on top of that, you have to worry about transfer portal, NIL, all these things, agents getting involved, whereas you didn't have that 15 years ago. So
to me, I don't think I would worry about the schedule. You guys have seen the way I go about things. I think I'm going to work hard and long no matter what, right? Or no matter what I'm doing. It's the bullshit. I can't do the bullshit. And right now, it's this time of the year, it's nothing but bullshit. It is, you know, having to basically just cater and make people feel happy. Or worse, figure out a way to pay them to keep them. And it's just, man, I don't know. I don't know if it's sustainable because right now it hasn't done anything negative to the on-field product. In fact, I would argue it's made it better. I think there's more eyes on this stuff. We talk about it longer. There's more time to talk about. There's more content. There's more companies revolving around it. The business in and of itself is fine. The on-field product is fine. But what happens if the coaching deteriorates? Because eventually, you know, it'll look worse and worse. And I think Kirby talked about this several weeks ago about how he's noticed the deterioration in high school football coaching, and therefore he's noticed the deterioration in the quality of football player that he ultimately receives on Saturdays. So it is a trickle-down effect, and I don't think we'll see it for like the next 5 years, but we might see it 10, 15 years from now if this continues.
Yeah, I mean, Kirby Smart even talked about that after he won his first national title, how he's worried about how the scheduling and all the expectations you have of being a college football coach, you don't have that in the NFL, the highest league possible to make. So, I mean, what's stopping these young coaches from going and getting a payday in the National Football League where they don't have to worry about recruiting, they don't have to worry about NIL, they don't have to worry about all this? The only real thing you have to worry about is free agency period, and even then, you can't get away with tampering like you can in college football.
One coach I heard instead of using the word tampering, he used the word sought after. And then he put tampering in quotations as if it didn't exist anymore because they don't even – he's talking about players of his getting poached. You know, I thought that was funny that he didn't even tampering. It's not even a rule. Tampering connotes that it's illegal. This is just out here. It is illegal, but it's not getting governed. Let's do these actual in-person evaluations right quick. Elijah Griffin, the defensive tackle out of Savannah Christian, is rated the number 1 overall defensive lineman in 2025. He's the number 3 overall composite player in the 2025 class. And Elijah Griffin's great. He's going to be really, really great. And we're going to spend a lot more time talking about another player, his teammate tonight. Maybe not a lot more time, but I was like inundated with the other dude who we're going to talk about tonight. But Elijah Griffin, what is fascinating to me, boys, and you don't see this a lot in really, really high-level 5-star caliber football players that have been 5-stars since freshman year, which is essentially what he's been. He's been this, hey, that's going to be an SEC dude, most likely going to be a Georgia Bulldog eventually. Like, these guys don't get out of the state type of football player very early on. Most of these dudes are physically ready to rock the moment you see them. At 17 years old, at this point in this kid's age of his time, he should be like fully developed at this ranking because the most of the 5-stars look like Edric Houston. They look like all the defensive linemen in years past, Walter Nolan. They're like just absolutely physically ready to roll into the SEC the moment you see them at 16 years old. This is not one of those. Elijah Griffin's the number 1 defensive lineman in the country, and from the neck up, look like a grown man. Neck down, that dude's still got like 30% of development physically. Like his lower half is not fully developed, doesn't have the big quads, doesn't have the big ankles, got skinny ankles, which is good, really, really athletic at 285 pounds. But Elijah Griffin has not even like come close to his physical ceiling and yet still plays like a technician. He is very clearly very well coached. At 6'4", plays with good pad level, good ankle bend, good knee bend, fires out of his pads, fires out of his hips, not his pads, I should say. Uncoils his hips really, really well at the line of scrimmage and strikes blocks and sheds blocks really, really well. Also plays extremely physically and violently. But I was stunned to see somebody who has been ranked this highly, and not saying he's not deserving of it, but be ranked this highly and walk up on him and go, oh, damn, he is a child still. Because none of these men are children, like the one we're going to talk about next, who is 14 years old, who looks like a Greek god already, like he is ready to play SEC football.
So how do you view a person like that? He is a 5-star, he's a number 1 player, et cetera, but he doesn't exactly fit the bill or fit the mold of what a 5-star should look like. How do you view it? Like, do you view that as, okay, the ceiling is still untapped and that's a good thing, or like –
That's where I'm more akin to lean, or more tend to lean on that end, because like, hey, it's great that you're already this elite football player, already this dominant football player. You go to camp in the summer, and everyone from the coaching staffs that you camp at knows that you're a guy. That's why that coaching or that sideline was so filled today. They all really believe in this guy. They know he's going to be really, really good. And yes, that's immediately what I think is like, oh my, it's going to get really, really scary the moment he actually like blossoms, essentially, because I know it's not a matter of work ethic. You go look at Savannah Christian's roster top to bottom, every dude is vascular. When I see veins on high school football players, I know you're out here grinding in the weight room. Like you're lifting weights consistently, and just every dude on that football team look like that, including the next guy, Lamian Giden. Remember the name. Lamian Giden. I told every single media player that was there, or media guy that was there, that I talked to about this football player, whether it be Rusty, Jeff, Jeremy Johnson, all these guys that we talked to, or y'all hear from. And I told them this, and I'll tell you this. Lamian Giden has a chance to be the best football player I've ever seen in my life. Do we have this photo?
Yeah, it's right.
We have this photo. This is a 14-year-old. Put this on the screen. Do we have to actually move the camera over, or have we screen shared this? We have to move the camera over. This is a 14-year-old. Not to do the hey yo chill. This is a 14-year-old. Can we move the camera over here? 14 years old. He is 6'3.5". Latest listing, he gonna measure it at 6'4 1/4. I promise you, this year at every single camp he goes to, 230 pounds. Daggone wingspan like you know what. All right, 14 years old. Look at the oh, I lost it. Look at the calves on this kid. Okay. And here's the thing. Here's a keynote evaluation point if you're a talent evaluator. It's not the size of the calf. Big calves, strong. Big calf, strong. It's how high up are they? All right? This is the calf belly of this kid's calves right here. All right? It's damn near underneath his kneecap. All right? This is a really, really explosive football player at 14 years old. Now, here's the thing about the evaluation. Okay? It's not just about the physical thing. It's not just, hey, the muscle development's already there. It's not just the fact that he's only 14 years old. It's everything, okay? Apparently had no mic on the mobile. I guess I flipped the wrong switch. You know, it's in the pocket over here. Yep. I had it on mute.
Dang.
That's on me. Should we redo that?
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's do it. Let's redo that. All right. Mic check. You got the audio over there.
Yeah.
All right, let's do this again. Lamian Giden, 14 years old. All right, 6'3.5" is what he's listed at. 6'3.5", about 230 pounds as a true freshman, 2027. Okay, but here's the deal. He's about 6'4.5". Okay, he's gotten an inch since whoever measured him last. I would say 6'4", maybe 6'4.5". Now, here's what we were just talking about that y'all saw but didn't hear. Athleticism, okay, is measured in the calves. Twitch is measured in the calves for me as an evaluator. I want to see skinny ankles, and I want to see the calves all the way up the leg, all right? As high up, the better. All right, so when we zoom in on my man's calves right here, all right, this is really weird, but this is the only channel in the world you probably get this kind of talk. Check out my man's calf belly, all right? Where the bottom of his calf muscle is almost up underneath his knee. This is an extremely explosive athlete. All of your wide receivers, all your skill players, all of your 180-pound like gadget players, watch them, look at them. Their calves are all the way up underneath their knee almost. This is an edge rusher that's got this type of development in his body and what's got going on. Also, look how big a man's arms are at 14 years old. This is going to be one of them ones, all right? Plays really well. And here's the great thing. All right, I've seen a lot of big freshmen. I have seen a lot of big freshmen in my time. Some really, really developed freshmen. Not all of them, okay, not all of them move like they have grown into their body proportionally and with good pace. Okay, some people, you're 6'6". Was there ever a time in your life where you were just like a giraffe walking around because you gained or you grew like 7 inches at one point and you really couldn't figure out your body?
Yeah, definitely in middle school I reached that point.
Okay, so this kid probably never had that problem, ever. It looks like he was a steady grower, and that's why he's been able to move as well as he continues to do as a football player. Now, there were some freshmanisms, right? He got kicked on counter probably 3 or 4 times, which leads us to our next evaluation, which is Bo Walker, the 2025 UGA running back commit. Here's the thing about Bo. I saw Bo twice this year, I believe. And earlier in the year, I thought he was kind of – and this is a wrong evaluation, by the way. I thought he was kind of heavy. Thought he almost looked like he had lost weight through the season. Okay, so from when I saw him in September to when I saw him today, I was like, dang, he looks like he's lost weight. And then I started talking to some coaches on the sideline that actually get physical measurements on these kids on a much higher rate or a much more consistent rate than I do. And I had shared that opinion with a coach. I was like, I saw him in September. He looks like he's lost weight. Coach looked at me and said, actually, Coach, he's gained weight. So you love to see that, right? You love to see that. A guy actually putting on weight and looking like he's carrying it better. And he moves. He moves like he's supposed to move. If he's going to go to Georgia and play in the SEC at about 5'10", okay, not a huge kid, about 5'10", 205, but does everything. You talking about the ability to make somebody miss? He's got that in spades. What I've seen from him this year that I had, the only question I had other than the overall, he's not gargantuan, doesn't have to be at that position. But the only other question was does he have the long speed to really be like an explosive back? Does he have that lightning effect to him? He took one about 70 yards today, so I think we're okay there.
Yeah, he looked everything as advertised as what Georgia fans and what Georgia wants in a running back. Bo Walker, the name and everything from top to bottom, he fits the mold of what you're looking for there.
Yeah, hits a hole hard, had good enough separation speed, perfect back for what you want at Georgia.
All right, classic news dump. I think last night, as soon as we got off air, I think people are scouting us now. They're like, all right, hey, those guys are on air. Don't be breaking nothing while they're on air. Everybody will go run to them. I'm just kidding. As soon as we got off air last night, Marvin Jones Jr. hit the portal. This comes 5 days after we got hot mic'd on a similar situation?
Yeah.
About that, yeah.
Hey, nobody's fault but my own. So that's on me. But, these text messages like the one I accidentally read on air, those text messages started a while back, all right, from several different people. And it was just y'all just happened to get one of the dozens. And by the way, when something like that, if something like that ever happens again, I pray it never does. But guys, I get text messages like that about dozens of football players year round on your roster. And if y'all panicked if I panicked and reported every single one of them, or if I ran to the Discord and told every single time, hey, this kid's got something might happen here, man, y'all would be up in arms panicking year round because that's what it is now. It's poach season year round. Everybody is coming after your roster 24/7, 365. So every single time I get a text message about, hey, player X might go to school Y or player X got a phone call from school Y, y'all would freak out. Y'all would freak out every single time. So it was an accident. It didn't mean to happen, but the smoke was fire. All right, there was a lot of smoke around that one that he might end up into the portal. And, of course, it's probably going to be Marvin Jones or Florida State where his father played. That is the immediate thought and the immediate connection. I don't even think you have to bring up the word tampering here. All right, this is a kid from South Florida. If he went any other where than home, I would be absolutely shocked. All right, flabbergasted. And it also has to coincide with the fact that it didn't necessarily go so smoothly at the University of Georgia. It wasn't like dude was playing 70 snaps a game. This was a guy who was rotating in.
Yeah, a tough loss because that was kind of a position that you were hoping to rely on a good bit next year. You felt like you kind of had at least some solid depth there after gaining another year of guys getting their feet wet this year in the schedule and in the games. And next year you'd be able to build off of that. So losing Marvin Jones Jr. is definitely kind of a tough blow to the depth, but still got some solid guys lingering around.
It also stinks because you saw the potential he had in that Tennessee game his freshman year, a couple plays last year he made that you're like, wow, this could be a really, really substantial player for the defense. Just never got the opportunity behind guys like Micah Williams and Chas Chambliss to where he didn't get his chance to shine, and so he's probably going to go elsewhere to get a better opportunity.
In terms of the Jack room, so you're talking Chaz, you're talking Marvin Jones Jr., Sam Mpemba, last year C.J. Madden, Gabe Harris. Who am I missing here? Am I missing anybody? Last year, Darius Smith. Okay, of all those guys, when they come running out of the tunnel, the one that looked like an NFL football player every single time, Marvin Jones Jr. Did he play like that all the time? No. But I also don't think he was playing a position at Georgia at the jack spot that he's going to play in the NFL. He's going to be a traditional defensive end in the NFL. He is 6'6", 250 pounds. Now, just because he could do all the things at the jack spot, and that's the other thing that you heard Kirby talk about this year, super smart kid, okay, guy that understood the entire defense and an entire system and played a position at the jack spot that over the last couple of years, let me read off the starters that have played the jack spot, the last 3 guys. Azeez Ojulari, my man Nolan Smith, okay, Chaz Chambliss. Those are the 3. None of those 3 guys look anything like Marvin Jones Jr. None of them. All of those first 3 guys, all of those are like 6'2 3/4", 245 pounds. This dude was 6'6". This dude's 250. All right, this was a totally different looking human out there playing that spot. And wherever he lands, probably Florida State. I don't even know why I got to do this wherever. When he goes to Florida State, I would imagine they verse the hell out of that kid. Always do the Jared verse. What's his actual name?
It's Jared Verse.
It is Jared Verse?
Yeah.
They're going to Jared verse the hell out that dude. He's going to play a traditional 5. He's going to play standard defensive end, and he's probably going to look better than he did at Georgia. But he's going to be asked to do different things than he did at the University of Georgia.
This smells very much like a Jermaine Johnson situation to me, where it's kind of pretty much exactly what it is.
Very
honestly.
much so. And the American Heritage link, the dad played at Florida State link, like you don't even have to do they poached him. No, he got convinced to go into the portal, or he was convinced to, or the best decision for him was to go into the portal. And I could understand why, if it were a situation where, we still haven't heard about Chaz Chambliss. We don't know if there's going to be a senior season there. Also, again, an extremely crowded room. Like Salmon Pimba needs playing time. Gabe Harris needs playing time. All those guys in that room need playing time and need it. Or Damon Wilson. My God, how did I forget that name? Damon Wilson needs playing time. There's a lot of air in that room, or not enough air in that room for everybody to breathe. Not saying that this was a addition by subtraction, but this will allow other really, really talented football players that were ranked similarly to Marvin Jones Jr. to get onto the field. That being said, that dude had the highest ceiling of all of them. And he's probably going to reach that ceiling at some point. He's just not going to be at the University of Georgia. And that seems to be, not a trend, but that seems to be something that happens to the jack spot at Georgia. I am waiting for that spot to turn out a 10-sack guy. The last to do it, or the last to even get close to it, was Ojulari, right? At 7.5?
Yeah.
That was it. So I'm waiting for that to happen. I just don't know if the defensive structure ever presents itself that. Because you are very linebacker dominant, you are very sim pressure dominant, you are very dime defense on third down dominant, you're very mush rush dominant, you're very rush the quarterback with discipline, and you're very jack dependent right now in this system. Which, how in the world could you ever say it's not the right way to go when they've been top 6 in team defense for 7 years in a row?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Or since 2018?
Yeah.
Basically since Jordan Davis started starting.
Yes.
2019.
Yeah.
And you really converted to the mint front defense, which really emphasized the jack, really got rid of your edge rushers like Lorenzo Carter and such. Not that, you don't have one of those guys right now on the roster. Maybe if you did, maybe if Marvin Jones Jr. played and looked like Lorenzo Carter did when he was leaving, maybe they would emphasize that defense a little bit more. But he's going to go to Florida State, and he's going to do really well, I would imagine.
Yeah, Kirby Smart talked. You asked the question this season about asking Kirby Smart, getting counter recruit about you guys don't get sacks numbers and whatnot on the defensive line. And I'm sure that's kind of what everybody wants to look to, the fans, especially when kids like this do enter the portal and then they're going to go to another school and they're going to go and put up 8 sacks in a season and go on and be a first-round draft selection. It's going to be, well, why aren't we doing that? Well, then there's a solution to that. Kirby explained it perfectly of then we show them the kids that we've had drafted over the years.
Yeah.
So, it goes both ways.
Yeah.
No, I think a lot of it is just tape watching. You can watch the tape and see that, that guy didn't get home, but he's still a really good player. You know what I mean? So, yeah, Marvin Jones Jr. into the portal likely seems like all signs indicate probably going to Florida State. Now, some other stuff that happened today regarding recruiting and one Dylan Raiola, not directly with him, but subsequently involving him, you would imagine. Kyle McCord apparently no longer interested in Nebraska. We'll talk about his eventual home or potential home here in a little bit, but how about that? A couple of days after Dylan Raiola and the smoke to Nebraska and the potential flip and the NIL reporting and all the stuff, and then, Kyle McCord not going to Nebraska anymore.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's almost obvious at this point that it seems like they're going to flip him.
Almost.
I hate to be like so certain on it because we don't know, but the fact that you've seen all this smoke and now the guy that was kind of predicted to go there initially said, actually, no, I don't want anything to do with this. It's there. The writing's on the wall.
Here's one thing I've learned about covering this recruiting industry. Okay, players know and players talk. And the players on both ends. It sounds like the Nebraska commits are out here talking about some here we go. And some dog commits talking about some, well, it is what it is.
Yeah.
Kind of deal. What's up, Pugga? Kind of deal. So follow if you talk to the players, they'll let you know. What you can't trust players on is I'm gonna go play with my brother. I'm gonna go play with my teammate right here. I love Jay Will. We're going to college together. No, y'all not. No, y'all not, baby. Y'all is not going to college together. But yeah, it sounds like that Dylan Raiola stuff is a wrapped up deal.
Yeah, and I mean, it stinks when you lose a guy that talented, but I don't think this is anything to hit the panic button for Georgia. You've lost highly talented players before. You've lost highly talented players that actually played for you before. So it's one of those things. I wouldn't freak out too much if you're a Georgia fan.
And I tweeted right as all this stuff was originally coming out, how I tweeted the 5-star stats, 48 career attempts for 5 stars that Kirby Smart has signed. And some people grabbed that as if I was like making fun of Georgia's ability to sign 5 stars or making fun of Georgia's ability to develop 5 stars. And that couldn't be any further from the point. The point is the fact that it doesn't really matter. The point at the University of Georgia, the point is it doesn't matter if you are a 5-star. It has never mattered if you are a 5-star. And I'm not going to say Raiola didn't approach this recruitment as that, but let's just talk about this from a follow the tea leaves things. And that's what we do around here, right? Let's just talk about this, okay? Committed to Ohio State, all right? And they weren't really allowed to recruit 25 guys. Didn't want to involve himself, it seemed like, with the Georgia recruitment due to Arch Manning until Arch Manning committed. And then it was like, okay, Georgia's a possibility. All right, and now with the flip to Nebraska, we find out that, Kyle McCord, we're good. We're good on that. So, like, I'm not saying that there is competition dodging. I'm just saying that the competition apparently dodges this one. And if that's the case, then that's the case. But I think it is what it is. And I think, yes, it is obvious that this kid is going to Nebraska and apparently going to start as a true freshman. That's what that looks like to me.
That's going to be very interesting to watch.
I mean, I think he's going to – here's the deal. He's uber talented.
Yeah.
That kid is going to be successful or at least play really, really well. I don't think there's any doubt about that in my mind once he figures out how to rip a seed. Mm-hmm. We still got to figure that out. I want to see it, but Matt Rule will figure that out really quickly.
Oh, yeah.
It'll be like, son, you have to throw that ball. So, yeah. Matt Rule, not a cusser, I don't think.
You don't think so?
I don't think so. I don't think he has to have a sticker on his wall that reminds him not to say the F word.
I mean, I don't think Matt Rule wouldn't be allowed to say the F word.
I don't think I'm not allowed to say the F word.
Well, I mean, he wouldn't put self-parameters on it like, hey, I can't say that.
That's true. I'm trying to imagine. Do we have a Nebraska schedule? I'm trying to.
That's what I was wondering.
I'm trying to see if he's got like a gauntlet going his way.
I mean, if you're Nebraska, that Big Ten schedule is going to be a gauntlet for the most part, anyways, just because of where your program's at right now. Obviously, it's not like a death trap of every game. You're like, oh my god, we have to play this team this week, but they're a 7-5 team, right? I mean, even with Raiola, and that's no offense to him. I think they're a ways away from being a truly elite program right now.
Okay, according to Nebraska's website, they have UTEP, Colorado, Northern Iowa, Illinois, Purdue, Rutgers, Indiana, Ohio State, UCLA, USC, Wisconsin, Iowa.
Oh my God, that's easy walk.
Yeah,
that's back end though.
That first 5 is a cakewalk.
Yeah,
though.
the first
When's he
5.
get Iowa? Didn't you say Iowa like
The
midway
very
through?
last game.
Okay. That's gonna be a slate. Freshman All-American.
Read the last 6
Yeah,
games.
it's Indiana, Ohio State, UCLA, USC. That's a tough
That's
3-game
tough.
stretch.
That's
But by then he's not a freshman.
Exactly.
By then
then
he's a seasoned vet.
Yep.
for sure.
That's gonna be. I might put money on freshman
Hey, bro,
All-American there.
don't be sleeping on Matt Schiano and the Rutgers. Come on now.
Yeah, hey, they was all right this year. They was all right. Northwestern in
Nebraska
that mix
versus
too,
Colorado too.
for all right this year.
I mean, Colorado's going to be a very interesting game to watch too.
Hey, shouts out to our Nebraska listeners finding the show. Shouts out Dan Orlovsky for the shout out. That apparently has some people introduced to us. Shouts out to 19,000 subscribers.
We did it.
And shouts out to our friends over at Prize Picks. Let's take a quick moment to give some loves to those folks over there at Prize Picks. You can use promo code Brooks today and get a 100% deposit match over there. What does that mean? You put up to $100 and you will get immediately matched $100 right there in your account, only using promo code Brooks. Also want to give a quick shout out to our friends at the Athletic Collection. All the posters in the studio that you find and see are made available over at the Athletic Collection. The link in the description of this video. Those are also NIL plays, so a portion of the revenues for those posters will go directly to the players in which you purchase. Carson Beck over there. Some Lad McCox, obviously, over there. Kendall Milton over there. I think I saw Amarius Mims over there as well.
Got posters?
So in other words,
And Charlie Condon getting in the mix soon, I'm told.
if Georgia fans want to ensure Carson Beck comes back, go buy you a rack and a stack of posters.
Yeah, if you want to get to that ridiculous $4 million evaluation that apparently some people have sourced opinions on, head over there, Athletic Collection, and buy 67,000 of those posters.
There you go.
$4.5 million out of your goddamn mind. Out of your mind. I hate when I have to get I shouldn't say I hate it, but when I have to defend or when I get asked about others reporting, that to me it really puts me in a tough spot because I have to say, nah, I ain't never heard nothing like that. That's insane. That's insane.
What do you think about Georgia and Alabama playing at 7:30?
Is this why is this a talking point? It's a night game. It's Alabama, Georgia. It should be 7:30. It would
My
have been
whole-
7:30 if it was on ABC. It's primetime kickoff.
My whole thing is, do you think so? Is this the new primetime slot?
Should be.
Is this it?
Should be. I don't necessarily hate the 3:30 kicks on CBS, but the best football game of the night should be at night.
Mm-hmm.
That's
I'm
my
in
opinion.
agreement with that.
My question is just, what does this do to Big Noon kickoff?
I
Because
don't know.
CBS is getting the 3:30 slot with the Big Ten now, right?
I guess.
Was Big Noon not Big Ten's thing?
Honestly, this might be it's Fox's thing. So
Right.
wherever Fox goes, this might be collusion between all three of them. This is ESPN and the SEC saying, "Hey, we'll take 7:30." The Big Ten saying, "Hey, we'll take 3:30," and then the rest of them saying, "Hey, we'll take that nooner spot with our biggest game of the week." That way, the viewer shouts out. The viewer gets the noon slate. That's a banger. Big noon kickoff, wherever it's at. And then 3:30, you get that CBS kick between whatever rock fight they got going on in the Big Ten. And then at 7:30, you get real football. So how about that?
Yeah, we should have asked Gary. Is calling Army Navy going to prepare you for the rest of your
Yeah,
time in
no
the Big
kidding.
Ten?
I don't think Gary would approve of Big Ten slander at this point.
No.
No, he would not.
I also think Gary would still rather be calling SEC football games, but hey, it is what it is. What I did love about having Gary on the show is that I learned that Bama fans think that he hates them too. And that's cool. That means you're doing your job. If everybody thinks you hate them, you're doing your job.
You're being honest.
If everyone thinks you love everyone but your team,
Yeah.
you're doing a good job.
Probably doing a good job there.
I mean, speaking with Kirk Herbstreit now, have you seen the battle of Florida State? We can save that for the national
Oh my
topic.
God, dude, he's getting crushed.
You know,
I mean,
that
he's
was
crushing
always
back too.
That was
Yeah, I
always
saw that.
funny to me because when David Pollock was on College Game Day, Georgia fans were constantly dragging him through the mud anytime he said anything negative about Georgia. I mean, anytime I was like, oh, David Pollock out there again, trashing on the Bulldogs again, whatever, then he leaves and everybody's like, oh, but he was the best part of Game Day. We love David Pollock.
A little bit of live YouTube lug right here. Kobe Young, 6'5", freak receiver from Miami. I remember watching him against Texas A&M. I think he went for like $170 in that football game, and just Adonis out there running
That's like
around.
20% of his season total.
Correct. But had an absolute ball game. Okay, and looks like one of them ones has officially hit the portal. I'm told via my sourcing that they'll take an official, or he will take an official visit to the University of Georgia sometime soon. So you're in the mix there for you Georgia fans listening tonight. Make sure you hit that thumbs up button, like, subscribe, and rate, reviewing, all that good stuff. If you've caught any portion of tonight's broadcast and you didn't catch the whole thing, we are made available over on your podcast platforms, whether it be Spotify, iTunes, however, wherever you catch your podcast. You will be able to find us there. Make sure you subscribe on those platforms and leave us a review, okay, as well. So we appreciate you guys for all your support. Make sure you hit that thumbs up button and firing off in that live chat. We still got a loaded show for you guys tonight. We got a lot more to talk about. Let's talk about this Orange Bowl, shall we, boys?
Let's do it.
Little prelim.
We talked a little bit about it the other night, how there's going to be a lot more high-quality football players playing in this football game than I think anybody ever imagined. I think – here's the thing, not to judge or give a whole label to your fan base, but it seems to me like the Georgia football team cares a lot more about this football game than the Georgia fan base does. That's just my opinion. From what I've seen from social media, the opinions that I've seen in my mentions, the viewership sometimes on some of these things, like, and just all around. And just like, we haven't even been talking about this football game at all. This is the first time we've really even ventured to talk about it. I don't think a lot of people care about this, but I damn sure know Georgia does.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I guess that's somewhat a testament to what you've done as a program, where now it's, if you're not competing in the national title, the season's kind of, I don't want to say a waste, but you're at a point now where it's like, this isn't really consequential to us. So that could be used as a compliment to say, look, I mean, it's championship or bust at this point, but no, I agree. It is kind of interesting to see Georgia fans not apathetic to this game, but kind of not as excited for it as they were the Peach Bowl last year, the Orange Bowl 2 years ago.
I mean, I'll just say the same thing that we kind of said at the beginning of the year of like, man, college football is what you wait on for the entire year. And so the fact that you get to play an extra game, and it's a meaningful bowl game, whether you want to say – I know it's not in the playoff, but, I mean, it's a New Year's Six bowl. I mean, it is one of those primetime bowl games. Like, you're seriously going to complain and say, like, oh, well, we don't care about that?
I had an SEC coach look at me today and go, that's where y'all are at now. That's where that program's at nowadays, that your readers are out here like, in the middle of a New Year's Six bowl game.
And you get to play Florida State.
Yeah, it's a team you haven't played in 20 years. It's like this is literally almost a once-in-a-lifetime matchup.
You were this close to playing Louisville. So,
I mean, that one, I might have just passed. I ain't even going to lie to you. I might have just passed on that one after just giving you shit, talking about this college football, baby. Get your ass up. But I don't love the idea that, hey, December 30th, I'm not going to be able to see two helmets clash until, April 15th?
Yeah.
About every year?
Yeah.
And that always sucks. But, hey, you know what I do. I watch more helmets clash in person during that time of the year than probably any other time of my year because of spring football here in the state of Georgia. So that's awesome.
Will this be the most participated in college football bowl game between two top 10 teams that aren't in the playoff?
So that leaves Oregon and Ohio State.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Bo Nix is going to play.
Yeah.
Really?
I think so.
Just padding the record.
Was it that he is playing, or did he say he wasn't playing?
I don't know. Look that up. But Ty Thompson hit the portal, so who the hell's playing quarterback for him? That'll be interesting. But no, from in terms of like Ohio State's got like 18 guys in the portal right now, 19 guys in the portal right now.
He is playing. You're right.
He is playing.
I mean, Marvin Harrison still hasn't announced his decision.
Marvin Marrison? Yeah, definitely hasn't announced anything yet. So I would imagine maybe he plays. But I don't know. This is maybe it's gone by the wayside. Maybe NIL contracts don't allow it.
Ooh.
How about that?
Don't allow what?
You just opt out, sit out. Maybe your paycheck stop rolling in that month.
Huh.
You ever think about that?
I didn't think about that, no.
Very valid point.
I mean, let's just throw a number out there. Let's just say you had to spend 15 more practices to make another $20,000. Yes, by the way. There are college football players out here in college football right now making $20,000 a month.
It's not bad.
Not bad at all. It's not bad at all. I'd take it. I would friggin' take it.
I would take it too.
Yeah.
I'd take the CTE and all, baby.
Who do you think has more to lose in this game?
Florida State's got a national title to lose in this football game.
Yeah.
They win this football game, they control the rest of the world forever.
Yeah.
After subpoena in.
And I mean, even
the CFP.
Even so, if you go out and this, I don't want to say it yet because it's part of my What If Wednesday, but
Yeah.
I'll hold on that. So But no, I do think Florida State is more. I mean, you have an undefeated season to basically say, if you go out and beat Georgia, a team that won the national title 2 years straight, and their only loss was to Alabama, a team that's in the playoff, and say, look, we absolutely should have been in there. So,
oh yeah, absolutely. Florida State's definitely the team to. And but this is also what I hate is like even if like. Actually, this is what I'm interested to see, because if this many players do actually end up playing in this bowl game, if like Georgia and Florida State, neither one of them have a whole lot of opt-outs, I'm interested to see what the losing side fan base has to say, because in years past it's been, oh, well, none of our players played. Like, they didn't care about that bowl game. I mean, we saw Georgia did it when they lost to Texas. Like, we had so many people opt out, which is true. I get that. But if this many, like this year, there may not be any excuse of that. So if Georgia does lose to Florida State, I'm interested to see, or vice versa, I'm interested to see what the losing side has to say about it.
I think bowl games are interesting. Like, these types of bowl games are interesting because they benefit the winner so much more than they hurt the loser. Like, if you lose this game, you can come out and say, look, we had national title aspirations. We didn't get there. We don't care about this game.
I'll pull a damn Mullen.
Yeah, this loss means nothing to us. The season's already been over. What if you win? You have bragging rights. Oh, you weren't as good as you said you were. We're better than you. Yada, yada, yada. We're back. All that stuff.
You think Kirby Smart would ever pull a Dan Mullen?
No.
I don't think so either.
No.
But
the fan base would have.
The fan base would for sure.
After Dan Mullen.
Say what?
I said I don't think Kirby Smart models anything he does after Dan Mullen.
Apparently they're friends.
Supposed to be his friend.
Can you be friends with someone and then immediately kill them right after that? We're friends. You got fired because you didn't recruit.
He was supposed to be his friend.
A lot of jokes.
Yeah, I mean, they probably razz each other.
Razzmatazz.
Raz.
You got any other questions about this football game? I thought you had.
Yeah,
like
I got one more. What do you? Because obviously coming into it, Florida State's hindered at the quarterback position. It looks like right now they're having more opt-outs than Georgia is. They're major underdogs. What would Florida State have to do to win this game?
17-10.
So you think they
shut down Carson Beck, turn him over a couple times? Hope that I have no clue. That's the only path. You're gonna have to win defensively. Hope that Jared Verse is unblockable.
Yeah.
That's the only thing I can think of.
Because, I mean, what you've seen from Florida State the last 3 weeks or the last 3 games they played at least, is basically just lean on inferior opponents and kind of suffocate them to a 20-6 victory, a 14-3, things like that where you don't have a lot of offense. So I don't see them being able to do that against a Georgia team where you pretty much have to go around a Georgia team to win.
I don't even know. Oh, no, I'm not going to do that. Never mind. Yeah, it's a very tough spot for Florida State, especially with your backup quarterback. That doesn't help you. But, I mean, it's kind of – I get the same feeling of this conversation as I did when we talked about Michigan a little bit, of like just the way that you won football games throughout the entire season. I mean, even when you had Jordan Travis, I don't think you're winning football games in the manner that you were going to have to beat a Georgia. Even if you were in the playoff, I don't think you were beating teams and you were like preparing yourselves for that moment of if you did have to face off against Georgia, if you did have to go and play an Alabama defense who can also put up points, or even a Texas or Washington for that matter. So just based on what we've seen this season from them and based on how they consistently have been, I know there was a drop-off when the backup came in and Jordan Travis was hurt, but you were kind of the same team on both sides of the football in the grand scheme of things of how your game plan was set in stone the entire season.
I was sitting over here kind of jotting through the depth chart and what I think it's ultimately going to look like. It's like Ernest Green at left tackle, Dylan Fairchild, SVP, Tate. Probably don't know who's going to play right tackle. I would imagine if I had to put money on it, okay, and we don't know yet, if I had to put money on it, Amarius Mims does not play in this bowl game, okay? That's one of your opt-outs. I think the only two that I think, like, bro, you probably shouldn't play, Amarius and Brock. Why? Both of them already been under the knife this year, all right? Both of them going to be first-round draft picks. So there we go. I think if I were Kirby Smart, if you're a Georgia fan, you're probably sitting there going, hey, if we're going to the league, you just – I know you love the G. We already had senior day. Let's just go on. All right. So I think right tackle is the only question, but Xavier Truss is playing in this football game. Xavier Truss is going to absolutely absorb every single moment in this football game that he possibly can. And if Amarius isn't playing, you'd imagine you're going to get a look at Monroe Freeland again, another good long look at him. And then at receiver, it's like everybody. All right, is Ladd McConkey going to be healthy enough to play in this football game? If he is, he's going to play. We don't know what he's going to do in the draft or if he's going into the draft yet, but I can guarantee you right now, if he's healthy, he's going to play. Okay, so there's that. The running back depth chart ain't done nothing. Ain't nothing changed. It's going to be the same football team. Carson Beck going to play in this football game. Defense, everybody playing, all of them. All right, so
with the exception of like transfer portal entries, right?
yes.
So like you're not going to have your
dude. I've heard maybe Nolly Green might even like hang around and practice and play in the bowl game, right? Retention at the University of Georgia is out of this world, out of this world. So yeah,
that's wild things to hear. That's just the fact at this point. I mean, and back to the thing of the fans may not care about this game, but sheesh, man. I mean, obviously your players sure as hell care about this Orange Bowl.
yeah. You got I think you're gonna have some guys come back next year that you probably didn't realize A, had eligibility, but B, had an interest in coming back to the University of Georgia.
Nobody knows about eligibility anyways.
Yeah. And if you want some of those names, head over to patreon.com/Brooks Austin. We will give you that information over there. Who do we all know going to the Senior Bowl? Just saw that pop up. The only one I've seen taking an acceptance is SVP, right?
I mean, I'm sure there's a ton of invites, but I don't think that's something that's really getting.
The invite list is up on Reese's SeniorBowl.com if you want to check that out.
Speaking of that kind of thing, I was reading up on a mock draft because it already is getting into that season, and it was Matt Miller's, I believe, on ESPN.
Shouts out.
He had Brock
one of the
Bowers.
greatest Twitter names in all of Twitter names. You know what his Twitter name is?
So
he covers the NFL draft. His Twitter name on Twitter is @NFL Draft Scout.
Lovely. Anyways.
Elite.
He had I think it was his first mock draft or whatever. He had Brock Bowers going 10th overall to the Los Angeles Chargers.
Love it.
He had Kamari Lassiter going 29th to the Philadelphia Eagles, naturally, because, that's what happens now. And I believe he was the third defensive back off the board, only behind Terrion Arnold, who was at 11th to Atlanta Falcons, and then Kool-Aid McKinstry was like 17th or something like that.
Don't do that, Atlanta.
What, you don't want him to see a draft a corner?
I don't have anything against Terrion Arnold or Kool-Aid McKinstry. Don't draft another corner. That offense needs help.
That offense does need help. Probably needs a quarterback, to be honest with you.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
So
that's a whole nother show, whole nother topic, whole nother league. But
yeah, SVP is the only Georgia player on the list so far.
But is there an invites list? That's accepted invites.
Yes.
Okay.
They
had a watch list. Don't they have like an invites list?
Yeah.
On the watch list, I think they have like 19 guys. So I've always wanted to go to Mobile. I can get us credentials. I just don't know if
Tramel Walthour, Xavier Truss, Nazir Stackhouse, Tyke Smith, Arian Smith, Marcus Rosemi, Jack Saint, Kendall Milton, Ladd McConkey, Zion Logue, Dazon Edwards, Warren Brinson, Carson Beck, and that's it.
Basically every senior that's on the roster.
But like 5 of those have a potential to come back or might be coming back.
Yeah.
Maybe even more. I can't remember all the names you just rattled off, but I heard a bunch of them in there that I already know a couple of those names are like definitely coming back.
Couple of guys who aren't coming back.
One of them a super senior.
Fran Brown, Yazid Haynes. That might be a.
Happening quick.
He keeps making moves, dude.
Yeah, we kind of what do you call it? Hinted towards that even in his transfer portal article when we released it over on Dogs Daily. Yazid.
Oh yeah.
Yazid's a kid from Philly. Fun fact. The bubble over there on the west side of Atlanta. It's where Terrence Edwards works out. It's an indoor like soccer facility, but all the great trainers in Atlanta use it because it's centrally located. Terrence Edwards uses it. Oliver Davis uses it. A guy named Route Master who trained Darren Waller, that guy.
Darren Waller.
Yeah, so
former Raider.
A really, really competitive environment all the time. One-on-one type stuff that they do between Oliver Davis's guys when he brings all the corners together, whether it be, I don't have to go through his clientele list, but it's everybody from A.J. Terrell to Caleb Downs to Terrion Arnold to JaQuincy McKinstry to Kamari Lassiter's worked out with him. Everybody trains with OD, especially all the DBs in Atlanta, and every receiver goes there on Friday nights to get some one-on-one work. And I get a phone call from Quay is his name. He goes by Route Master on social media. Quay gives me a call. He's like, bro, you got to hear about this kid from Philly. And I'm like, kid from Philly? What the hell's he doing in Atlanta? He's like, oh, he's down here just in the area, wanted to get some work. And boy, did he get some work. He came out here, can't nobody guard this kid. And I'm like, what's his name? Well, he goes by Zed. Yeah, his name's Yazid Haynes. Nobody could stay in front of him so much so that Oliver had to put his cleats on. After watching one-on-ones and him just route up everybody, the trainer put his cleats on and was like, I'm trying to get me some work. Let me see what you talk about. And then proceeded to cook Oliver. But this Yazid kid, I get phone calls about him. Next thing I know, about 8 months later, Georgia done found him, sniffed him out, end up getting a commitment from him, ends up coming to Georgia. It just doesn't work out, all right? And ends up in the portal. And most of the reason he ended up at Georgia is because Fran found him.
Mm-hmm.
Fran's the Northeast, American region recruiting savant. If there's a great player, an underrated player, a player that's Georgia quality that nobody sniffed out yet, it's his job at the University of Georgia at the time to find that football player, not only find him, but bring him to the University of Georgia, and that's exactly what he did. So there's no coincidence that in that article we linked them to Syracuse, and we find out, today that it's probably going to end up being Syracuse.
I don't want to label it as this in an insensitive manner, but more so in a laughing matter of, let's just call Syracuse Georgia's JV roster at this point. I mean, that's basically what it's turning into.
Jeez.
It's hard not to take that as a slight, but it's basically like the twos. Georgia's too deep.
Mm-hmm.
Georgia's too deep. That's what you can call them. Not the JV roster. Georgia's too deep.
There you go.
Not even the scout team. We talking about the too deep.
No. I mean, guys that have the talent to start just didn't get the opportunity.
Yeah.
I mean, I think Yazid Haynes, he's a Power 5 starter somewhere. It just so worked out that you had Lab McConkey and all these other guys in front of you to where it didn't really work out.
It's just two guys, though, right? It's Yazid probably going to end up there, and Jackson Meeks probably going to end, or is up there.
Yeah. Then
And then
Mackay got an offer.
Mackay Muse got an offer.
Mackay got an offer.
If Nyland's in the portal, I'm sure that'll be a link, you would imagine.
Yeah.
But you never really know. Fran's never gotten, never had ill will. It doesn't sound like he gets along with everybody else, is what I'm trying to say here. But if you're Nyland and you got passed over by like 4 guys by that position coach, do you want to then go play for that position coach, or do you just understand that it was about those guys being better than me, not that guy not liking me? You see what I'm saying?
That's a good ask.
It would ultimately be about what was your relationship like with him. I mean, he would know what those conversations were like with Fran, and he would know what that environment felt like at Georgia. And, I mean, yeah, if it is to the point where it's like, well, they were just better than me, then maybe you do go follow Fran. But if it felt like maybe just not a mix of the two, then –
I saw the Qs in the building in Atlanta. Nick Williams, defensive ends coach, former Georgia grad assistant, defensive analyst. He's from Bainbridge, actually. All the way up there in New York. Probably had to buy his first winter coat, like real thick.
That's
real
a
thick
fish
coat.
out of water.
Yeah, for sure.
From Bainbridge
but I mean,
to
he
New
just
York.
spent time in Boulder, so he probably got a good.
Oh, he's
plethora of
traveling.
coats.
He's a traveling.
he
man.
got that
Yeah.
Louis, bro.
Dude, this is another reason why I'm out on the coaching circuits. All right, and I don't want to do it to my family. I've already got a wife and 2 kids, so like you're out. Once you have multiple children, you're already married. You can just give up coaching, in my opinion, at that elite level. Nick Williams. In 2000, and this was after COVID. In 2021, I believe Nick Williams was at Texas A&M.
Mm-hmm.
In 2022 and 2023, Nick Williams was at Colorado. In 2024, Nick Williams will coach at Syracuse. In 2025, who knows where Nick Williams is going to be? Because here's the thing: he went from that's his off-field roles, okay, to his now position coach. To eventually, I'm sure he's got dreams to be a coordinator. All right, so you know how he's a great football coach, but you don't know how many times you're going to have to do this. And man, I can't do it. No. So you know what I've decided, and I started the show with this, and I haven't closed with this. I'm just going to be a high school football coach someday, and that's going to be awesome. And we are going to absolutely dominate with the wishbone.
Oh,
I'm just kidding.
Don't say that.
I will buy
I'm
a ticket to
absolutely
every
kidding.
single game and boo you every single time if you do that.
How's your boo? You got a good boo?
Boo!
I thought you were going to redline the piss out of that mic. Boo!
You
That's
suck.
a boo. You got to have a good boo. If you're
Wouldn't
gonna
that,
boo me.
we just go heckle him when he becomes a coach.
That would be pretty funny to just heckle you.
Run the dang ball, Brooks!
That's dude, he would get so mad too. He would be so mad about that. That would
It's
be
gonna
fun.
it's gonna be dope though. I don't know what we're gonna do. I don't know what offense we're gonna run. My wife just texted me, "Oh my!" Shouts out, mom. Mom's basement out here. Get down there, be quiet. No, I don't know what we're gonna do offensively, defensively, but we're gonna be a hard-nosed football team. We're
You
gonna
don't
live
even
in
know
the
where
weight room.
Yeah, you don't even know where you're going to coach yet.
Nope, we're gonna be front squat based, not back squat based. How about that?
Interesting.
Yep. We're going to be quad dominant, big time. We're gonna, a lot of hamstring curls, okay? Protect the hammies.
That glute ham machine.
0 calf raises.
Really?
0.
Wow.
Zero calf
even-
raises even
box
from you?
jumps. Box jumps.
Yeah, I mean, that
Quick
is
twitch.
explosivity that you need.
Yep. We don't need the mass.
Power
We need
cleans
the
or hand
explosivity.
cleans?
Probably from the floor, taught with good technique.
You
Good technique.
you
We're not going to do any back bending. We're ass to ankles.
You gonna put the chains on 'em?
clean form. I don't know. Probably go band work. Maybe not chains.
Some people have no idea what we're talking about right now.
Yeah, but those who do, they're in here, man.
Yeah.
they're juiced, bro. They're juiced. A lot of coaches listen to this a lot. I get that a lot on the sideline. Man, I listened to you the other night live show. So yeah, ball knowers, certified
ball knowers.
Certified ball knowers. A little CBK going on. A little CBK on the FGN. You know what I mean? Should we move on to the national hour?
Yeah, let's
hit that intro, baby.
Were we Were we doing scheduling for this?
Yeah, we'll do SEC schedule talk here in the national hour.
Okay, cool.
Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen, to NBR, or as we like to call it around here, Nothing But Rants, the show where I find topics that I'm oddly passionate about and I pontificate upon them. These are not hot takes, but rather takes that I'm hot about. What's up? You really like that?
Let's shut up and grind some tape.
What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome in. Hour 2, Nothing But Rants, our national hour. So if you hung out with us, listen to us talk that dog for an hour, we fitting to carry it over with another dog-related topic. Kyle McCord out of Nebraska. Let's refresh this topic, gentlemen. What do we think about Kyle McCord's ultimate landing spot and the passing of Nebraska right there?
Well, it seemed like immediately when the news hit, when I was just doing my brief little Twitter search on it and seeing the quote tweets and reading the comments, I kept seeing people saying, oh, Syracuse is definitely a player in this. And so being me, go to Google, Kyle McCord, Syracuse. And next thing you know, there's talks of, oh, Syracuse has reached out to Kyle McCord. Syracuse is now considered a dark horse in this recruitment. So it seems like Syracuse might be the potential landing spot.
Fran Brown, baby. How about him?
Does not waste any time.
No,
Zero.
He got introduced, a week ago today?
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, he hasn't been on the trail for more than 7 days, and he's already pulled what looks like to be 2 Georgia guys, and now you're working on
the Stanford commit today.
Yeah. Ooh. I mean, now you're working on the Ohio State guy. So, and say what you want about Kyle McCord, to pull the Ohio State starting quarterback is big, if you pull that off.
Even if he is mid. But you're right. Apparently, they word on the street, and here's how this works, right? Once you get a football coach that for the first time at that university, when was the last time they had a coach that like everybody believed in?
Oh, dude.
They got a cakewalk schedule?
Syracuse might be a 9-win football team next year. Ohio Bobcats, Army, Holy Cross, UConn, Boston College, California, NC State, Pitt, Georgia Tech, Miami, Stanford, Virginia Tech.
I forget Stanford's in the ACC now.
Yeah.
Whoa.
That's so crazy. Does Stanford have to go to Syracuse?
Yes.
Holy hell. That's going from Mexico to Canada, essentially.
That sucks.
There might be a chance that's a Thursday night game, too.
Oh.
That's horrible. That is horrible. I didn't even think about that.
R.I.P. the trees.
That is terrible.
But Syracuse has to go to California.
Love it. To Cal. Either way, that schedule, a cakewalk for Fran Brown year one, with what is going to be a really, really talented roster, it sounds like.
Much improved.
A much improved roster, I should say.
Is there any other place for Kyle McCord other than Syracuse? I mean, I know the tea leaves are kind of suggesting he goes there. What would be a good fit for him?
Dude, I remember his recruitment as like a no Southeastern schools. I don't think any Southeastern school ever sniffed him.
Haven't even
didn't want him, or he just didn't want anything to do with it.
Maybe both. He was a very early on Ohio State commit. The recruitment process I'm not really fresh on, to be honest with you, but was definitely a Northeastern kid the whole time.
Yeah, I mean, didn't hear anything about South Carolina being involved. Didn't hear anything about Florida State being involved. I mean, none of these Southeastern schools that obviously are going to be without
need of a quarterback.
Yeah, need of a quarterback. You didn't hear any of that. It was always like Nebraska was in there. I think there was some West Coast schools that were kind of lingering around a little bit. Very, very good point.
It's interesting. I mean, to think that you don't want to go play where college football, I mean, is arguably at its best in the Southeast.
Maybe they don't want you. Have y'all seen? I know it's not on the show notes. Have y'all seen what Kentucky's doing?
No.
Kentucky got 2 wide receiver commits today.
One was the
2
North
transfer
Texas
commits.
kid.
Yeah, North Texas kid and another like slot receiver type. Like they got some
It's the Vandegrift effect.
That boy Marky Stoops.
No. You know what it is? It's Mark Stoops calling them rich folks out on radio. That's what that is. It's Mark Stoops calling them rich folks out on radio. I didn't realize the money was as much as it is right now on the NIL front because I hadn't had these conversations since March. And now I'm having these conversations in the middle of portal window with these coaches.
It's that whiskey money.
I guess. I don't know what it is. It's that I'm talking about in general, across the board, some of these schools have more money than you ever would imagine. And I think what it is like, take Syracuse, for example. There's a Syracuse booster that has just been dying to believe in Syracuse football, I would imagine. There has to be. There has to be some Syracuse rich dude that's like, what? We got what? We got a football coach. What? People, like, really talented football players want to play for us? Oh, yeah, I need some money. Like, I would imagine that's going on at a rampant rate, or at least a rate higher than ever before up there at schools like that. And it's probably happening like that across the board at a lot of football schools. Also, by the way, none of these schools have ever had any issues getting any type of somebody's got mic static, any type of money, to build facilities. Any type of money to build facilities. So if you, like we talked about last night, redirect some of that funding to these NIL fronts, you probably won't have any problem creating revenue for your roster.
Mm-hmm. I feel like, and this could be just me perceiving this way, but every new coach when he gets to a program is basically goes to all the boosters and just says, hey, pony up, we need this X amount of dollars. And now it's come to the point where they've shifted it into resources such as facilities, equipment, things such as that to players in general. Just, hey, invest in players, everything else will take care of itself. And it seems like that's what a lot of these newer coaches are doing. So,
sorry, I'm trying to.
Oh no, you're good. We're all trying to figure out sound issues simultaneously. Should we get to the sound or this? Raheem Sanders to South Carolina. South Carolina has like 6 or 7. Yeah, it's official right before the show.
Yeah.
I think we're good now. I think it was either this or something over there.
Okay, cool. Good to know. South Carolina's been very active. This is like the second year in a row that they've been super active in the transfer portal. Both ways.
Their starters, a couple starters getting picked, and then them picking starters elsewhere.
And like some very meaningful football players, some weird situations too of like sounds like players just kind of giving up maybe midway through the season and then hitting the portal, things like that. I don't know. I've just kind of settled on that I'm going to have this weird feeling about South Carolina and Shane Beamer. I think I've moved past the point where I'm going to believe in them to be able to contend in the SEC. I just think they're going to be a middle-of-the-road pack team under Shane Beamer, and maybe occasionally he maybe can get you to the point where you get a 10-win season. But I'm just finding a hard time believing in that when there's a lack of consistency.
I mean, these are the types of things you have to do if you're Shane Beamer. You have to build some sort of momentum going into the next season. Say, hey, look at all this elite talent we're pulling in from the transfer portal. Look at what we're doing on the recruiting trail. It didn't help that you closed out the season the way you did. It wasn't anything like what you did in 2022. But Shane Beamer, he's one of those coaches where you have to build up your fan base to get the hopes enough and then hope you can deliver on a 9-3 season, because usually you can't.
It sounds to me, and he's playing for a state title game right now, but it sounds to me like they're going to end up landing DeBron Gatling, the 4-star receiver from Milton. I think he's taken, or I think he just got done with an official visit, one or the other. Going to take a visit, or has taken a visit recently to South Carolina after decommitting from Texas A&M. So it sounds like, it doesn't sound like they are. They're recruiting at a higher level. But, dude, go back and look at the way Will Muschamp recruited there for a couple of years.
Yeah.
Like, they've been able to pull in talent. It's a matter of winning.
It's never been a talent problem. I mean, obviously your talent's not going to be adequate to an Alabama or a Georgia or even Florida when they're at their best, but it's more of a developing thing. They get the 4- and 5-star guys, but they never turn into real killers. I mean, I think the last guy you could say, oh my God, he was an animal, was Deebo Samuel. And other than that, it's been Jadeveon Clowney. Everything else has kind of been hit or miss.
When was the last time they had a superstar come out of their state, though? You know,
was J.C. Horn from there?
No, he's from Atlanta. The best player from the state of South Carolina recently is Jordan Birch,
and he's at Oregon.
Yeah, after playing 3 years there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
you know, and didn't really. He popped at Oregon.
Yeah, he did.
They're talking about him being an NFL football player now. So it developed. It just developed in Eugene, not in Columbia.
What's weird to me though is that it feels like. I think Mario Anderson was one of these kids that last year transferred into South Carolina, and then again this year he hits the portal again. I don't know, just some weird roster movement going on up there. It's just been very interesting to me to follow it.
I think the most alarming thing about Shane Beamer is it seems like at the end of every season, you have guys that legitimately start, actually contribute to your team, seem to hit the portal.
All right, Georgia fans listening, I got a little inkling for you. Malik Murphy hit the portal today, the backup for the University of Texas. They are now one snap away from the Arch Manning regime beginning at the out there in Austin during a college football playoff run, so that would be fun, especially for our SI friends over there in our Texas website. Dude, I was told that they had like a 3-day page view that looked like a month for him just getting in against Texas Tech.
Really?
Sounds
People
about
love
right.
some Arch Manning.
The Arch Manning.
I'll go ahead and spoil it. That's one of my what ifs for What If Wednesday of what if Quinn Ewers ends up getting hurt during this Washington, or even let's say they make the national title game, whatever, and now all of a sudden Arch Manning is the guy that has to take Texas to the promised land. I mean, I just know for a fact ESPN's getting the whole doc team together,
man.
and it is going to be. I mean,
Dude, Fox released 3 minutes of his highlight, and 2.5 minutes of it was him handing the ball off in the middle of the fourth quarter up 50. It was nuts, the covers that this kid's going to get. But back to the Malik Murphy discussions. Here's a little nug for you guys. I was told, this is a California kid that ended up going to Texas and doesn't have a ton of he didn't have a ton of high school experience. Didn't play a lot of high school football. Hasn't played a lot of football during his time in Texas. But my God, you want to talk about a freak? This kid's like 6'4.5", 230, 35 pounds, and he's got a chooch. Okay, and it's fluid, and he looks like you're supposed to look in terms of physicality, and throws it a country mile. It's tight. It spins well. It doesn't play with a ton of finesse. It's all horsepower and raw power. But here's the nug. I'm told Georgia and him have had conversations already since entering the portal today. But this is Georgia. Okay, this is Georgia. This is how they do this. I've told you this. Every single time someone gets in, they're calling. I don't care how good you are, how bad you are. If they think you might potentially may fit or may be good enough to play there, they will feel you out. They will call you and see what's interested. I don't think it's a mutually beneficial fit, though, because I think both sides know that Carson Beck's coming back, or both sides feel as if Carson Beck's coming back, and Malik needs to start now.
Yeah, I mean, that was kind of what I was going to say is this something where it's I don't care if Carson Beck's coming back, I still want to come play for Georgia, or is it I want to start now, I don't want to win now, and I want to play on a team that can compete for a national title? Because, I mean, I feel like if Carson Beck comes back, this entire thing will fall through.
No, I'm telling you.
Not even fall through.
There was a phone call that happened today. I don't think it was a long one. He's in the list of names that are getting, or Georgia's in the list of names that have been in contact with him right now. But I promise you, it wasn't a very long conversation. Okay. It was, what's going on? We're hitting the portal. Cool. What's going to happen with Carson? We don't know. Probably coming back. All right, that's the case. On to the next one. But when you hit the portal as a former, highly, I think he was almost a 5-star. When you hit the portal as this talented of a football player, you start with the big boys.
Yeah.
Okay. You immediately call the big schools and you say, "What's your situation you got going on?" And if they tell you what they tell you, what the room looks like, if you don't like it, you go on to the next one. And I believe that's exactly what's going to happen.
So, do you think the next one is a Ohio State per se?
I think Malik would best serve. It would serve Malik best to not sit around, but wait out the rest of the decisions and see what's left, and then go from there.
Why do you think that benefits him?
Seeking playing time. For Malik Murphy, if I were his agent or if I were his handler or for whatever you want to talk about, if I was a trainer, I would be advising him. If I was his advisor, that's the term we need to use from now on. If I was his advisor, I would say, "Son, let's go find the Power 5 school that's set up for success, got good offensive line, decent weapons, guaranteeing playing time." And not just guaranteeing it. The depth chart says you're going to get playing time.
Right. So why would Ohio State not be that? Because, I mean, I know they are in the Cam Ward sweepstakes, but if you say go in there and get in and say, "Hey, I really want to come to Ohio State," and then they pivot and say, "All right, we'll take Malik Murphy," that kind of leaves Cam Ward out in the dust. Whereas if Ohio State does go with the Cam Ward, Malik Murphy's now kind of sitting around waiting because contenders, teams that need to fill holes aren't going to wait around and sit on their hands and do that, So I feel like if he wants to go to Ohio State, it'll happen sooner than later.
I would say that one thing that I've learned over the past, 5 years at the quarterback position, you don't have to go to powerhouse to get noticed and get NFL draft looks. I mean,
not when you look and throw like this.
Exactly. I mean, especially when wherever he goes, people are going to follow Malik Murphy. They're going to watch him. They're going to keep up with his stats. You're going to see the highlights of him and whatnot. I mean, people are going to know what Malik Murphy is doing regardless. And that football is going to look the same on an FCS field as it would on an FBS field. The talent around him may just not look the same. So I don't think it really matters where he goes. I mean, if he has the talent, then he'll end up where he needs to be. This
could be one of those and Malik, I'm not saying that Joe Milton was one of these football players, but Joe Milton very obviously enjoyed having people tweet him throwing the ball 85 yards, which is why every camp that he would just show up and throw it. That's all he would do. Just show up, throw as far as he could, and he'd go viral. It's good for his brand. Probably made him a lot of money, I would imagine. What?
Chat suggesting Auburn. That would be an interesting spot. And I mean,
but they just haven't been linked to anybody though.
Yeah.
I believe it or not, I got sources on the Malik Murphy camp. It's not Auburn.
That's
I don't think
fine.
it's gonna be Auburn. I don't know what Auburn's doing. I'm waiting for Auburn to get a quarterback. I'm waiting for Hugh Freeze to get a quarterback. For the love of God, dude beat Alabama almost twice with Bo Wallace. No offense, Bo. It's Bo Wallace. Okay. For the love of God, can we get this guy a quarterback? He had people thinking Malik Willis should have been a top 10 pick. I love Malik. Gonna live in the NFL for a while. Got a chooch. Great football player, great athlete. Not a first-round draft pick. Can we get Hugh Freeze a Q? For the love of God.
This might just be in my thoughts, but Hugh Freeze, I feel like Hugh Freeze is kind of setting up to just drop a nuke at some point in this offseason. Like, oh my God, he's getting this guy. But
it's got to be somebody poached, right? He's got to have somebody in the wing that he knows I'm going to get this guy to hit the portal and no one's going to know.
Maybe it's one of the playoff teams. Maybe it's one of those.
Well, I mean, not really, because, I mean, like...
They got bankroll out there.
Yeah, like, if you look at all the playoff teams right now, the 4 teams that have quarterbacks are kind of set for the future. Quinn Ewers, we know, is coming back to Texas. Michael Penix is going to be an NFL draft prospect. Jalen Murrow, why would he leave Alabama to go to Auburn? I mean, you're asking to just become the most hated man in that state.
I'm saying...
And then J.J. McCarthy.
I wasn't saying the starters. I was saying someone else on the roster.
That might be possible. But I mean, who's on the bench right now that's of note?
Dylan Lonergan. I'm not saying that's happening. That's just the name that came to my mind. Yeah,
definitely not. I think Lonergan's the future out there.
Yeah, I was just saying like someone. That's just of course me throwing that out there, but I don't know.
I mean, if Jalen Milroe thinks he's worthy of the Heisman this year, he's going to think he's worthy of a first-round draft pick next year. Is that a stretch?
No,
I'm just kidding. I would be demanding the Heisman if I made that play. That's the greatest play ever. Is my thought process if I make that play on 4th and 31. Give me that Heisman. Give me that motherfucker. I didn't say it.
No,
I didn't say it.
That was an interesting censor.
That's a bug.
That's flying close to the sun.
It was. That's maybe a tad too close. Should we finally get into the schedule?
Yeah, let's take a look at this.
Don't know how we're gonna do this. Make sure you're reading the chat now that we got this mic back on.
Looks like you're going.
All right. So I think the best way to do this is go week to week, put it in camera 2 over here on the square shot, and we'll just circle some very, very keynote matchups right here for you guys.
Very interesting that they did helmets and not names of schools.
You better know helmets, or you're really screwed on this
Just give us the logos.
All right. So, thank you. A couple neutral site, just absolute bangers here. All right. You got apparently Miami going to Florida week 1 is a tough matchup. For both sides right
Rivalry's
there.
back, baby.
The neutral site here between Georgia and Clemson week 1. And then how about this one? How about a little LSU, USC? Get a little Garrett Nussmeier versus Malachi Singleton.
Is that at South Carolina?
That's neutral site, okay?
Okay.
That's Southern Cal, by the way. That's at Las Vegas.
Ooh.
That'll be a good little ball game.
I would love to go to that game.
You want to?
To go to Vegas?
A little FGN on the road?
Yeah. Yeah, right.
Hey, isn't that going to be cool one day when we can be like, hey, Georgia, appreciate the credentials to Ball State this week, but we're going to go.
We're going to catch a flight out to Cali real quick.
Yeah, we're going to catch a flight out to the Coliseum, and we're going to watch USC, UCLA top 10 matchup. It would be just about as,
we're going to watch a 3:30 UCLA USC matchup.
Hell yeah. That'll be cool one day when it happens. When we can
Dude, wait a minute.
What's up?
This just popped in my head. Is the 3:30 kick for Big Ten like if a UCLA and USC plays? Isn't that 3:30 kick can be noon local time?
Noon local. That's their problem. On to week 2.
Ooh.
Okay. Looks like I haven't even looked at this one. Oh, they got that home and home flip-flop between Cal and Auburn. That's some yuck right there. Cal unis in that Auburn stadium going to look real, real goofy. Houston at Oklahoma, a little Big 12 in the SEC right there. Tennessee, North Carolina State. Tennessee.
Is that a neutral site game?
That's that's at Charlotte.
Huh.
Okay.
So I mean that's
big boy on big boy. Texas at Michigan.
Ooh.
My
How did I not know about
God.
that one?
My God, what a ball game.
Are we sure that's Michigan and not Delaware?
Let's look that up. They wouldn't be playing at Delaware.
I
though.
feel well.
They
That's a
definitely
good
would
point.
not be playing at
I
Delaware.
just feel like a Michigan Texas game would be so much more advertised than it has been. Because I mean, this is the first we really heard about it.
There you go. That's going to be a ball game.
I
Right
mean,
there.
Alabama did play at USF this year.
They're not playing at Delaware.
Look, I'm just saying it's
They're not
possible.
playing at Delaware.
That is at Michigan.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's a big house, man. That's going to be a daggum ball game. I got Texas by 2 scores. Any other ones in that week 2 matchup slate right there? By the way, 2 bye weeks next week for every SEC football team. So that was interesting to see. Let's go on down the thread here. All right. Week 3. Anything?
Bama at
you
Wisconsin's
got?
interesting.
Yeah, that's weird. What's going on with Bama's
Bama two
non-conference?
straight years with weird non-conference games.
Is this like Cedar Grove in high school football where no non-conference teams really want to book them?
Maybe.
I guess. I mean, I
wouldn't
think
wanna book
it's
Alabama.
probably also like for so long people have given Alabama shit for you don't schedule away games out of conference, blah blah blah. So
The BVG Bowl, little Brock Vandegrift versus Georgia at Kroger Field. How about that?
that game could be a lot for
Kroger Field, baby.
That blue and orange going to look awfully interesting. You think he grows the lettuce back out?
I think so.
He
Got
doesn't
to.
have enough time to grow the lettuce back out by Auburn or by August, does he?
Oh yeah.
You think so?
A
He
whole
didn't
year,
shave
basically?
it, did he?
I mean, it's trim. It's
Ah,
tight.
he'll be fine.
You think so?
He'll
He
come
could do
back.
it.
He needs it back. He needs to grow that wave back out.
Look, you spend 4 weeks out in Lexington. I think your hair grows exponentially fast to get the flow back.
You got Tulane in Oklahoma. That's an interesting one.
I circled that one because that's Clark Klee hot seat alert right there. Vandy at Georgia State.
Sean Elliott just been a consistent coach since he's
Just
gotten
a
to state.
good ball coach.
Hell yeah.
Good juice.
Shout out Sean Elliott.
Shout out Sean Elliott. You got some bias towards Sean Elliott. And I love it when
I,
it comes out
I do
every
have,
single
I
time.
do have bias to
Every
Sean
single
Elliott.
time
I
we
almost
get some
played
Sean
for him.
Elliott love. I love that. I got the same kind of love for Matt Luke. I took a visit to Ole Miss and camp for Matt Luke. I thought he was a psycho, but I wanted to play for him real bad. He big yeller, Matt Luke. A lot of energy, Matt Luke. Week 4 slate right here. What we got? Ooh, Tennessee at Oklahoma, the first Oklahoma big-time matchup in the SEC.
Another variant of orange that they'll be getting a taste of.
Ugh.
Who's A&M playing up there?
That's Bowling Green, baby.
Okay, I saw the orange helmet. Was like, surely that's
Don't be
not
sleeping on the
Clemson.
Falcons.
LSU or UCLA at LSU, and then outside of that, it's some dog water. This is the bye week starting to kick in. Week 4
Yeah.
bye week. for
Arkansas
Georgia
at
next year.
Auburn could be an interesting match. I mean, it could also be a Sam Pittman. What are we doing here matchup?
A little revenge game for the Hogs right there after getting put up 41 by Auburn. Ooh,
Uh-oh.
man, this is gonna be a tough week right here in Week 5 in the SEC. Only 6 football games.
What the heck?
As everybody takes a bye, but guess what? You get to eat, baby. You get to eat. Georgia,
Oklahoma
Bama.
Auburn's also a good one.
Yep.
That, I
Georgia,
feel
Bama,
like
Oklahoma, Auburn. Arkansas, Texas A&M is always a rock fight.
I feel like that's all by design right there.
Just clear out.
Yeah.
ISO.
This is the
ISO.
one.
Yep.
This is the one right here.
Just hey, the little Kobe Bryant, LeBron James. meme
Kentucky
right
at Ole Miss is also very interesting.
there. It is some good SEC clashes right there. I was about to say Texas gets their first dose of the cowbell, but that game's in Austin. It looks like week 6 right here in the SEC slate. Again, only 6 games here, and this is some dog water. It looks like
UCF at Florida could be an interesting matchup.
very well could be.
Very,
You got
very
Deep
tough
South.
matchup for both teams, honestly.
Deep South too, but that game's not. You think that game's close next year?
No, but it's always one everybody looks forward to.
Good point. Week 7. What do we like? Let's see here. Florida at Tennessee.
Ole Miss LSU is always a good game.
Red
Oh,
River.
there
Yeah,
it is.
Red River.
Red River.
The first
week 7.
SEC Red
Yes,
River.
sir.
We'll clear out for those guys as well.
Tennessee Florida is going to be a good matchup.
Yep.
Some good middle of the pack games here.
When's
Not
the last
that
time South Carolina had to go to Alabama?
Oh, it's 2011 when Garcia beat them?
was that the last time?
Lattimore and Garcia beating
It's the
them?
last time they won.
I don't remember
but-
South Carolina in Tuscaloosa in a long time.
I mean, the last time I remember.
I don't
was
even know if that game was
2011.
in Tuscaloosa.
All right, this is week 9? Week 8 right here. What do we like?
UGA at Texas, Bama at third. Oh wow, going from are those games gonna be at the same time?
Bro, there's a lot of heat here. There's 3 really good games. Well, South Carolina at Oklahoma is not all that great, but these 2 games right
Every
here
one
are
of
gonna be
every one of those
slobber knockers.
games is gonna be a toss up to me though.
So to me, what
You like
I've
Ball
gauged,
State at Vandy,
Dude,
huh?
that's a toss up game. Let's be fair.
what I have gauged from looking at week to week basis, they're at least giving you 2 heavy hitters, or at
Yeah.
least 2 games where, like, okay, these 2 are going to be good.
Are you telling me Greg Sankey knows what he's doing?
Yeah, I mean, it kind of knows what
Except for
he's
stacking that SEC Media Day slate. He needs to do a little bit better job.
doing. Yeah.
But anyways.
So
some
maybe
really good football games that week.
maybe one game gets put at noon, the other one gets put at 7:30.
Yeah, spread them.
That's what I'm thinking.
Spread them. Because so they're going to be on ESPN all day, 12, 3:30, and 7:30. Have we ever had a
guess.
3:30 SEC or
Well-
ESPN kick? It's always on ABC.
I'm sure one of them's
I
going to
mean-
be one of them's going to be put on SEC Network.
If you want to get technical, SEC Network does 3:30 kicks, I think, but
Week 9.
and ESPN's a parent.
Week
company.
9 right here. Ooh, Missouri going to Bama. That's going
That's gonna be tough for Drink.
Yeah, no doubt.
Texas at Vandy.
Down
Ooh.
week. Down week, in my opinion.
I can't wait for Texas fans to make the trip up
Oh
to
my
Nashville.
God. And be like,
They'll
this
go back.
place sucks.
This is terrible.
Coming
the
from
heck
Austin,
is
this
this
place
shit?
sucks.
Yeah, I know.
All right, that's a dead week. Take your kids on vacation. October 26th.
You get 3 bye weeks.
Yeah, you get a bye week, Georgia fans. That is a bye week for you guys right there.
Yeah,
That's before Georgia, Florida.
Good bye week.
Yeah, good bye week for you. November 2nd, week 10. Here we go. Jacksonville. Okay. What else you got? What is that? It's supposed to be a star. It doesn't look like one. That's the only good football game this
Looks
week.
like Texas is off.
I'm not watching Maine at Oklahoma.
A&M at South Carolina could be interesting.
Yeah, tight football game at least. I have no idea what A&M is going to look like year 1 under Mike Elko.
It's gonna be very interesting. I mean, I'll be.
Man, they're going to feel real weird if they're 7-5. Like, we got daggum Shane Beamer out here.
No, I mean, dude, if you're going
75
5-7 with Jimbo, I think you'll take 7-5 with your first year coach.
Hey, a lot cheaper.
A lot cheaper. Have you seen that contract? It's
Yeah.
all incentive laden.
Yeah.
The whole salary base, like
Smart.
60% of his time.
My favorite is when they put it side by side with Mississippi State's and Texas A&M's incentives.
Here we go, week 11 right here. Georgia heading to Oxford. That's going to be a different football team next year than you played in Athens.
Yeah,
They're going to be a much better football team at
They're
home.
getting a lot of people back.
and they play, and they're better when they play at home. We saw
I think
it statistically.
Harris announced he's coming back.
Really? Trey Harris?
Yeah, I think so.
Wow. That checks out, though. We didn't believe in the NFL draft stock, if you remember.
Mm-hmm.
I think some people found us thought that was a little hot takey. LSU and Alabama. It's a good week of football right here.
Ooh,
Missouri at
Oh,
Missouri and
at
Oklahoma
OU.
is also
This
very.
one's going to be a sweater, maybe, for South Carolina. Some good ball games in that slate
That's
right
a
there.
good. That's 6 good
Carolina
games.
just
out.
take it. If we got a South Carolina fan listening to this, they're like, dude, what the heck, man? That's like 3 weeks in a row we got taken shots at.
You think they feel Mo in that program right now?
By week 11, you definitely aren't feeling it.
Week 12. How do they close it? Let's see here. Well, I guess there's 13 weeks. 14? With 2 bye weeks, there might be 14.
There's got to be.
There are.
There's 15
Oh, my God, man.
because
We're gonna be
Georgia
playing-
still has to play UMass and Tech.
We're going to be playing football forever. Week 12 right here.
Ooh, Mercer at Alabama.
It's a sloppy week. These are the 2 best games in this slate, right?
Yeah, no doubt.
LSU at Florida, Tennessee
Yeah.
at Georgia.
Texas, yeah, no, Texas is
What
going to
is
beat Arkansas.
Tennessee going to look like next year?
I don't know.
Defense got
Who's
way
Tennessee's
worse.
quarterback going to be next year?
Defense going to get way worse, right? Only good players going to stick around and get better is James Pierce, and then the rest of them are upperclassmen and seniors or hit the portal like that defensive end did. That was crazy.
Yeah,
Their best defensive lineman hit the portal this weekend. To go where?
I don't know.
Chase a bag, my boy. Week 13, what do we like? Georgia at UMass. or
Ole
UMass
Miss.
at Georgia.
Bama, Oklahoma.
Oh, yeah, there it is right there. I took a big old gasp. I like that. How
Kentucky
many mid-majors? 1, 2, 3, 4. Wofford. 4 mid-major opponents, week 14 of the slate.
Ole Miss at
Lovely.
Florida is also kind of intriguing.
Yep. Week 14 right
Here we go.
Rivalry week.
Rivalry week. Huh. What's the best one on the slate?
Florida FSU.
Oh,
That's
no.
always interesting.
Every single one of these Oklahoma games looks tasty to me.
Oh, is that who they're?
Does Oklahoma have the toughest schedule in the conference?
They might.
They play everybody.
I
but
feel like we
Alabama.
circled.
No, they don't play Alabama or Georgia.
Yeah, they don't play.
They don't play Alabama or Georgia. So that's good for them. But Texas plays them both?
So I guess.
No, Texas has got Georgia, but not Alabama?
Yeah.
Oh no! You're missing the big one.
What's up?
I want to see if you can find it.
This one right here.
There it is.
Haven't been played since 2011?
Yep. There
Haven't
it
been played
is.
since 2011. So, yeah.
That's
That's
going to
it
be
right there.
crazy.
Ooh, at Kyle Field, too.
Kyle Field's going to be insane.
At
Holy
Kyle Field.
shit.
So, Texas will play at Kyle Field twice before Georgia ever does.
Yeah.
How
having
so?
not been in the conference for 10 years.
Georgia has
Georgia's
not
never
been to
played
Kyle
there.
Field
Yeah, but how is Texas going to play twice?
because they did in 2011.
And next year.
Huh?
Having been in 2 different conferences
Yeah, but
during that time.
A&M wasn't in the SEC in 2011.
I know they're Big 12. Yeah, but either way, I think what I was trying to say is that Texas A&M and Texas are going to play each other more or before during that time span. A&M has left the conference and not played Georgia in the time span it has taken them to ultimately play Texas twice. That's what I'm trying to get to.
Yes.
I don't know why it took me forever.
Play
to
them
get my
at
brain
Kyle
there.
Field. Yes.
Play them at Kyle Field, yes. What else we want to? Where do we want to do next?
Do you want to hit some what ifs?
Yeah, let's do what ifs
I like
before we
what
talk
if
about
ones,
Cam
yeah.
Ward taking a visit where I told him he should go last night.
Okay. Well, I kind of already talked about my Malik Murphy one about Arch Manning. Like, man, how the headlines and attention that would receive. It's Arch Manning was the one that would have to take over the helm at Texas in this playoff. My next one, what if Alabama gets trampled by Michigan?
Ooh.
I mean, FSU then is running real hot. I mean,
You took
real
I
hot.
only have one.
And then I think everybody would be left with this weird feeling, and like Kirk Herbstreit, the person right now that is ultimately defending Alabama, saying, "Well, they're obviously the better team." And you could say like, "Well, FSU would have done the same thing probably." But at the same time, it's like, well, if that same result was going to happen, I think the emotions that would be felt around that result would be really interesting, in my opinion.
Something that I don't think that people are even talking about is how nasty does that lawsuit get? Because then you can then have that much more of a back it up and say, look, we beat a Georgia team and this Alabama team had no business being in here.
And there's no excuses for Georgia if they lose.
Yeah.
Zero.
I mean, there's no excuses for Alabama if they lose. Like,
Correct.
Florida State wins that argument because they get to say, look at us, we were cheated out. We have all these damages now. So, I mean, they could build up a legitimate case on that lawsuit should they beat Georgia and Alabama gets killed.
What if the SEC continues their abysmal for the conference, their abysmal non-conference schedule or record this year? Well, the SEC just absolutely sucks during bowl season again.
Was it last year that it was really
Last year
bad?
was bad, and this year during the regular season, it was a losing record for the first time in like 15 years.
And there were some ugly losses like over the last few years. Like Florida only scoring 3 points against Oklahoma State in the Gasparilla Bowl. Ooh.
It was a Vegas ball, I thought.
And they kicked a
Vegas
field
Gasparilla
goal
Bowl.
late in the
Oh, is
game just to put points on the board to keep their shutout
It's
streak.
not even in Las Vegas. It's like out in like the middle of the desert. In whatever outdoor stadium they have there for UNLV, I would imagine.
I thought they played in the Allegiant Stadium last year.
I have no clue.
All I know to that point, if Alabama wins the Natty, nobody cares.
Yeah, I mean, and the other thing is you're also like with the teams that the SEC is acquiring in the 2024 season, you can't argue anymore that they're not the best conference. Like you could probably make some case that it might be the Big Ten, but when you add Texas and Oklahoma, and you saw what Texas did this year, even Oklahoma to add, SEC is the best conference in college football, even if they lose non-conference games.
There's probably going to be seasons where you could argue the 4 best teams in the country are in the SEC between Texas, Oklahoma, Georgia, and Alabama.
How crazy is it going to get because it's going to happen somewhere down the road where 3 or 4 of the Final 4 teams are SEC teams.
Oh, really? I mean, it's very, very plausible. Because, I think they're going to cap it at 3 per conference. Or at least that's what it originally was under the original 12 playoff expansion.
So wait, they're going to do it to where you can only have 3 conference members in?
Yep. That's what was originally in the 12-team bylaws. Now, again, since you've had these super conference expansions, I don't know if that's the case.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's kind of silly to have 12 teams, okay, and what you're going to end up having with 16 teams in the Big Ten and 16 teams in the SEC is you're going to have one year where, like, 8 of the top 12 are SEC teams.
I mean, you're going to have a year where 10 of the top 12 are Big Ten and SEC schools.
Correct.
Or
And you can only take 6 of those.
Here we go again, and then they're going to say we need to expand it more. So
Or rewrite the bylaws. But if you don't put a cap on it, you're going to have SEC bias, which is, I mean, it's fair.
Do you think we eventually get to the point where it's football March Madness?
I think yeah.
Unfortunately, yeah.
No.
Not to the degree of March Madness.
It's very
where-
different.
There's not enough football games for that to happen. Where the 13 regular season games, no matter if you can go 9-3 or 9-4, no matter if you can go 9-4 and still make a 16-team playoff or whatever they ultimately expand to, it's still going to matter.
The conference
But I
tournaments
think they're hard capped at 12.
The conference tournaments too in basketball where it helps that because like you can be the bottom of your conference all year, but then you go win the tournament, then you're automatically in March Madness too. So like that sets it up for different. What if like all these super conference or what if all these conference realignment things just absolutely crap the bed over the next few years? Like, and I think this is how it happens. Is it's exactly what we were talking about earlier. Of okay, team from California, you have to go play Syracuse this week. And then you go back home and it's like, oh, and by the way, you have another road game and you got to go to the Midwest this time or whatever. Like, and eventually someone and a couple teams or whoever, I think eventually is going to get fed up with it. And then we're going to be back into this conversation of, well, let's just go back to 5 and do it based on geography.
I think a lot of people forget that there was, when this first happened, like Big Ten teams or Big Ten expansion and them taking UCLA and USC and then taking Oregon and Washington. When they took USC and UCLA, there was a lot of reporting out that they were going to build a Big Ten satellite campus in Indianapolis for all of these kids to basically spend their time, which is insane to me. Why would you ever go to a school like that if you knew, like, it's not football. I'm not talking football. Is not a problem.
Yeah, I mean Title IX.
It's baseball, basketball.
Here.
It's these games where we're playing a mid-major team, like at baseball schedules. Mid-major teams come into town Tuesday and Wednesday, and then you play your big conference games Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Yep. So imagine being a USC baseball player. All right, check this out. And I know this is a football channel, but check this out. You play Tittawata Tech on Tuesday at USC, and then you play Tittawata Tech again on Wednesday. And you play 3 games over those 2 days. And then on Thursday, you hop on a bird, and you fly all the way to, let's call it Illinois or Indiana. You fly all the way to Indiana. You spend Friday, Saturday, and Sunday in Indiana, but they're probably going to make you play a doubleheader on Saturday so you can travel on Sunday. Good luck, buddy. Good luck. Good luck sustaining good, programs. And that's what might have these guys back out of these contracts, but they're pretty hard and fast. I think once you're in for like 10 years, unless you have to buy your way out. And we've seen that it's impossible to buy your way out of these things. You're not gonna.
I mean, Eli Drinkowitz was the one that really brought attention to it. He's like, everybody's focused on like football is the only thing that matters in these things, and football is the only thing that exists. But how about you go talk to the swimming coach and the baseball coach and the softball coach about how this is all going to work out for them? He's like, nobody, and he was saying it in the form of like, let's think about the athletes and mental health and whatnot. So it's going to get hairy and messy.
Totally forgot to mention school. Some you got to go to class.
Yeah, you got to go to class. You got to learn. Yeah, no, Title IX schools are definitely getting the shaft in that type of deal where it's going to be basically because let's be fair, schools like that are not getting the same resources that the football team is. So it's going to be very interesting to see 5 years from now how badly the rest of sports has been affected, not just football.
I don't know. Isn't it like a 2035 contract, the Big Ten? I think that TV contract's all the way to 2034 or something like that. So if you get in, you're stuck. Like Stanford's stuck in the ACC for a while, I would imagine. And so, well, the ACC's contract might not be as long, but I think they're all matched up into the 2030s. So good luck on that. That's tough, man. The just travel alone would get a little bit bothersome.
Yeah. What if Malik Murphy transfers to Ohio State? Are they favorites for the national title next year? And does Marvin Harrison Jr. maybe come back? Because, he's been hung up on this decision.
Here's the thing about him. All right, Colter Again has officially accepted the PWO to the University of Georgia. So, Colter Again, after a state title, has announced that he will go to the University of Georgia as a preferred walk-on. So there you go.
Looks like it runs to 2030.
2030. So, yeah, you got 7 years of traveling from USC to Rutgers.
Yikes.
It'll be fun. It'll be fun for those kids. Enjoy that. Get to see the country via a plane.
Yeah, you do.
You get to fly over the country, I should say.
You'll spend more time in the Midwest than you will your own campus.
Cam Ward? Where we're going? Oh, we got more what ifs.
Malik Murphy coming back.
Malik Murphy. That's right. Malik Murphy, Ohio State. Let's get back to that. I think that would be an excellent matchup, an excellent pairing. Because here's the thing about Ohio State, and not necessarily even about Malik, but I told you earlier, I hadn't played a ton of football. Okay, so if you haven't played a ton of football, you know what I should expect you not to be able to do? Read the field really, really well, because you just haven't seen a ton of it. So with that being said, Ohio State does a lot of really, really good things in terms of making it a half-field read. Hey, that guy's really good. If he's not open, we're going to get down to our check down. Hey, we're going to read this side of the field. We got man coverage. We're going to read this side of the field. If they're playing zone, we're going to this side of the field. You ain't got to worry about nothing. That guy's going to be open. Get the ball out. It makes it really, really easy on these guys to have a lot of success immediately. You're much more of a point guard than you are a facilitator. You're much more of a facilitator than you are an operator. I got to be out here like making all things happen amongst yourself. You're more of, hey, let's just get the ball to our guys really, really efficiently, which was the questions about all the Ohio State quarterbacks, which makes what C.J. Stroud's doing right now really, really impressive, because most of those guys have had problems when they go to the league figuring out the full progression of things. I meant to talk about this in the local hour, but I want to talk about it now. I spent a lot of time this year, I think a lot of people spent a lot of time this year really, really patting Carson Beck on the back for his ability to walk in as a first-year starter and immediately look like a 100% processor. Like just clicking through his reads. 1, 2, 3, bam, 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 tying his feet to his eyes, looking like an NFL football player. So much so that he has received a few first-round draft pick grades this year. But most of the consensus around the NFL is they just want to see more. They kind of know. They feel as if they know he's going to be a guy, going to be a first-round guy, going to be an NFL franchise-type quarterback, but they just want to know. They think they know, but they want to know for certain. So that's why most of them are kind of recommending that he return to the University of Georgia. But we spent all this time talking about, damn, man, what a job from this kid to be able to not play a whole lot of football, hadn't played football since 2019, but to go out year one and just boom, wow, looks like a dude. 74% completion percentage, like elite on third down. Man, he must have figured something out. This dude must be an elite processor. This guy must have just a crazy mind. And I was talking to some trainers today, some quarterback guys, some different guys around the world with all these guys in the portal, trying to get to some intel. And we were talking about Carson, and because Carson being one of these big dominoes, right? If Carson leaves, Georgia's now got a spot for one of these transfer portal guys, you would imagine. And Carson's name gets brought up. Then I start saying, I want to know, I told one guy, I want to know what that dude did to develop into that. Because my brain was always talking about, oh, it must be him. He must be unique. He must be special because this doesn't happen normally at a lot of places or with a lot of players. Normally when you get out there, you got all these learning curves. You got to take your lumps, if you will. And then I realize, or the trainer tells me, well, he's been around incredible football minds. Like, think about the football minds that dude's been around. And not just coaches, but think about the players, right? JT Daniels, say what you want about his performances as a football player. Anybody that knows that guy or has been around that guy, brilliant football mind, understands defenses, understands offenses, has been studying this for a long time. So much so that in his retirement speech or in his retirement announcement, having to retire due to a litany of concussions and head traumas, that guy's going to go coach football now. That's what that dude's life is going to become. He's a football savant. Stetson Bennett, really, really wicked smart. Really wicked smart. You know, didn't get a college degree, but really, really football smart, brilliant football smart. If you talk to him, okay, if you listen to him, Mike Bobo coached a lot of football. Todd Monken, know him. Spent a lot of time around that guy as well. Kirby Smart, kind of good at defense, right? Kind of knows what he's doing. Kind of understands what it looks like. Understands how to coach it. And then on top of all that, everybody's talked about his, exposure to that defense during all those reps during scout team. But I said it today. Rubber bullets are not live bullets, so I don't want to hear too much about, oh, he got a bunch of reps against the scout team or as the scout team quarterback, because that shit ain't real. That is out there in practice. That's not real. Real live bullets is totally different. But I did not do a good enough job, gentlemen, during this season of saying, oh, yeah. He is processing well. He is playing well because he is really, really smart. He's a great football player, but obviously you have to tip your cap to everybody that was around him that helped develop that football mind.
Another coach that he was around for a long time, Buster Faulkner, who's an OC at Georgia Tech, and we saw what he was able to do this year with Haynes King and the Yellow Jackets. So, I mean, a lot of great people. Like, he was surrounded by
Gummy Van Gorder.
Yeah.
And I think to your defense, part of the reason why we probably didn't give the coaching minds as much fire as we should have this season, because we spent the first half of the season having to convince Georgia fans that this guy was actually good.
That's true.
Like, we're near the end of the season now. He's had 72% completion percentage. Georgia's 12-1, had a really, really good season. But the first 5 weeks, we had to constantly answer, yes, he's the guy. Yes, Mike Bobo's the right answer. Yes, Carson Beck is a good quarterback. All things like that. So I think that might be part of the contribution where we didn't get to spend as much time giving accolades to people.
We did spend an exorbitant amount of time explaining that he's good.
Yeah.
That whole up until after Auburn, pretty much.
Yeah, I mean, after Auburn, it was like, I was like, oh, we might have a quarterback. Well, no, he kind of played the same. If you go through his game logs, it's like the same game every single Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think a lot of it had to do, obviously, with the fact that, oh, but it's UT Martin. Oh, but it's Ball State. Oh, but it's UAB. Like, who cares? Like, none of that matters. Like, anybody can go out there and do that. And it's like, oh, he's doing that same stuff against SEC defenses. Now we can believe it.
Just, man, once they got that split zone safety look, man coverage underneath against Bama with some pressure up front, it was like the whole offense went to just for what? I think I count
5 drives.
5 of 7 drives. 5 of 7 drives in the middle of that football game, they punted against Alabama. Just kind of crushed it. I know we overanalyzed that football game. We have any more what ifs?
Yeah, I got one. This is kind of a meta one, but I really got to thinking of this. What if the transfer portal just didn't exist in college football? How different would this season alone, how different would it have looked? Off the top of your head.
So are graduate quarterbacks still a thing? Because that was a thing before the portal. You can still graduate.
You can be a graduate
transfer.
So like Brock Vandegrift still going to
Correct.
Kentucky.
Brock Vandegrift still going to Kentucky. and no COVID super seniors? Are we doing that
No,
too?
you can keep a COVID super
So you can be
season.
6 years, but Tyler Van Dyke's back at Miami?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I don't know. The sport would feel much, much different. I don't know if we have as many like elite top-end football teams as we have.
The way I thought about it is Washington probably doesn't make a playoff because you don't have Michael Penix.
Well, he'd be a graduate, right?
No, he was at Indiana for
after 2 years
Yeah.
or 3 years.
Texas
Might have had his degree. You never know.
Maybe Texas probably isn't a playoff team because you don't have Quinn Ewers. I mean, as good as Malik Murphy has been, I don't think you win that game in Alabama without Quinn Ewers. Then you've got Ohio State might be a playoff team because Quinn Ewers is there. Alabama probably doesn't have their star receiver Jermaine Burton,
or their starting Mike linebacker Tresman Marshall.
Yep. Oregon doesn't have the season it has because Bo Nix probably graduated early, but still the transfer portal is heavy. Jaden Daniels probably doesn't win the Heisman. Deion Sanders in the Colorado experiment doesn't exist at all. I mean, Deion Sanders isn't going to Colorado if you can't bring all that talent there with him, and you can't do that without the transfer portal. And I mean, the last one I got to is Shane Beamer probably doesn't have a job because you don't have a guy like Spencer Rattler on your roster to do that.
Talked to a lot of coaches on that sideline today. They think the freshman that they have out there is a guy.
Do they?
Yeah.
Good.
They think he's a guy.
So you're saying is they're going to be out of the transfer sweepstakes, or you think that?
I think they think he's a guy. So maybe they don't take a quarterback, but they think he is a dude.
That'd be interesting. But no, it just kind of crossed my mind how it first started with how many teams in the playoff this year have quarterbacks that started at another school. And I feel like how some of the most successful quarterbacks over the last few years, with the exception of like a C.J. Stroud or a Stetson Bennett, all came in from via the transfer portal. Hendon Hooker, Joe Burrow, Caleb Williams, all of that. So the transfer portal, I think, is one of the big lifebloods of college football now. That's kind of obvious, but just putting that in that perspective to me.
It's kind of what we talked about last night, how we have these – it used to be 2 or 3 teams competing for who's the best team in college football, and it felt like at times this year we had like 8 in that discussion because of this.
Early on in the season, I mean, we sat there like the whole top 10 right now feels like we couldn't for certain say like this team is the best team in college football. It was like we have 10 of these teams. It's like you can make an argument that maybe they'll be the best team in college football.
And I mean, moving forward with this new rule, it might be even more spread out, the talent-wise.
Yeah, what is that new rule?
From what I understood, and I didn't read.
It was word jump. It was word
I
salad.
didn't read it. It looked like and I could be absolutely wrong, it looked to me like a 14-day period is basically you can transfer and hit the transfer portal wherever you want. I don't know why.
Wait, give me the wording of the rule. Read it to me.
As a result of today's decision impacting Division I student-athletes, the association will not enforce the year-in-residency requirement for multiple-time transfers and will begin notifying member schools.
All this means is that you had to live there a year before you played. It said calendar year residency. Is that what you said?
It said enforce the year-in-residency requirement for multiple-time transfers.
So this basically means if I've transferred twice, I don't have to stay there 2 semesters. And when I was in college, okay, when I was applying for eligibility every semester, you had to pass credits the previous semester. And I would imagine what this prevents is a kid transferring for the second time in the middle of July and then not being eligible in August. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
That makes sense.
Or not being eligible this spring. Because I would imagine there were some rules about you having to be there at least 6 months or whatever the calendar year type crap
So it
is.
sounded a lot more dramatic than it actually was.
Correct. It sounded to me like word salad, and it also read to me like nonsense.
Yeah.
A
lot of people probably took that as, oh, they're no longer doing the one-time transfer rule anymore and stuff like that.
I'm trying to look through these this transfer portal. Let's see, because somebody asked who's the best receiver in the transfer portal, and according to 24/7, it's London Humphreys. This is hard for me to do unless I evaluated the kid coming out of high school. Because you know what I'm not doing? I'm not out here grinding the tape on Washington State's roster.
Yeah.
You know?
Why not?
I don't know. But you know who has made this much, much easier on college football coaches? Not that this process is easier or easy. But Catapult and XOS Digital.
Yeah.
Now, they hate us, and they really give this channel some shit because they own all the television broadcast. But XOS Digital, for those who don't know, the sports bras that y'all see, the Catapult sports bras that all these football players are wearing nowadays, that is Catapult Sports. They also bought what old companies used to be called XOS Digital. That was a company that basically approached all of the college football coaches in the world and said, hey, if y'all upload your all 22 to our database and pay us a fee, we will automatically go through and filter all of that for you. Okay, so we'll go through there. We'll mark down and distance. We'll mark formation, personnel. We'll mark, all of the outcomes of the play. We'll mark everything for you, quarter, everything. We'll cut, splice, do all of it for you to where so much so that, like, for example, when Taki Smith hit the portal, he was a safety that played a lot of zone coverage. But occasionally, West Virginia would get forced into man coverage situations. Well, Georgia was looking at him as a star potential football player. Well, what does Georgia do with the star position a lot? They play a lot of man coverage. So what Georgia wanted to know is, hey, I want to know when this guy is playing this defense and playing this coverage. So they went in there and they put and say, okay, I want down and distance. I want third and long. I want to say, man coverage. And I want to do, they're in dime. So when they were in dime, they knew he was at nickel, right? All 150 snaps of that dude doing that year right there. And you can watch all of them in a row.
Is that AI generated or is that someone's like in the lab? Like,
oh, no. I would imagine this is hardwired because you actually have to – whoever's inputting this information has to be a football mind. They have to know that that's Tripp's bunch or that's nub or that's duo. You know what I'm saying? They have to know what it looks like to label it.
That might be a job for you if this doesn't go. If
this doesn't pan out.
If this doesn't pan out,
I'm gonna tell you right now. If this doesn't pan out, I'm gonna be a recruiting director somewhere. I'm gonna be sitting in a room grinding tape all day long.
Yeah,
and I'm gonna come out with a list and say, Kirby, these are the dudes. The rest suck.
The rest suck.
The rest suck.
That'll be me, baby. One thing I have heard about this idea of doing
Uh-oh.
No, I'm just reading the chat. What was I talking about?
I don't know. You had just started your thought, and then you were
Happens.
stopped mid-trance. So
Oh,
there he goes.
no, I lost it.
Oh, I
again.
lost it again.
I think I was talking about being a recruiting director.
Mhm.
You were talking about being a recruiting
You
director.
said one thing that I have learned. Welcome to pre-show meetings, everybody.
Yeah, this is about how it goes. Old Scatterbrain Brooks. Hey, look, I'm proud of us. Look, this has been our show sheet today. Normally, I have 6 full pages of notes. Can we get a shot in here?
Absolutely.
Normally, I have about 6 pages of these. Okay, so this is what we normally have.
Holy
it's
shit!
color
How
coded.
do you read that?
I got chicken scratch handwriting. Don't worry about it. It's been figured out over years. This is the show notes the last couple of days. 1 sheet, 6 bullet points an hour.
Not even half.
Not even
the sheet.
half. 1 sheet, 6 bullet points an hour, and we've done 4 hours of content this way. Last night was nice and easy. Up on the board, talking ball. That was nice and easy. Today we found out what we was about. Today we found out how good we
I
are
would
at
say we
this
did
job.
did pretty good.
I think so too. The numbers weren't there, but it is what it is. I think maybe the sub episodes might be great on this one.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
Sub episodes are definitely going to do well.
Sub eps. So
I like-
if you're,
I like what we did on the board with the schedule.
Yeah. Did you enjoy that?
I enjoyed it. I had a fun time.
I think what our audience has noticed since we've gone, and maybe it's been about me the whole entire time, we are not afraid to take stabs at shit.
No.
And we also, it's never going to feel the same. Never an episode will feel the same as it did yesterday.
Yeah.
You shook your head like you didn't like that.
No. I'm saying, like, it's one thing that's exciting about it because it's like, most people have like this routine built in, like, and we somewhat have a routine because it's like, all right, let's get the show sheet out. What do we want to talk about? What are the topics? Like, when you get here, I mean, so much can change within an hour. It's like, oh yeah, let's do that. I like that
Yeah, I
idea.
mean,
We just try stuff, and nobody's scared to like jump off the ledge with one another and try something. We just go, man.
Yeah,
we just roll.
The Malik Murphy news hit while we were in the car on the way here, so it was
It's
like, well,
let's do it. Let's talk
that's
about
what we're
it.
talking about now.
And had it confirmed, Georgia reached out within what?
Literally
5
right before.
minutes?
Yeah.
5 minutes of that message I sent y'all. I was like, yep, Georgia's already talked to him. So, yeah, I didn't need Adam Gordy's tweet. Hey, appreciate you guys for watching tonight. Make sure you hit that thumbs up button, like, subscribe, rate, review. We'll see you tomorrow.
I thought you were